Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker of Maverick News and Maverick Multimedia, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hello, this is Brandon Kennedy with the Flow of Discourse podcast.
And it's been an exciting day today as our coverage of Freedom Convoy 2022 continues, cruising to the Capitol. And there's been a lot happening on the political front today. It is clear the truckers' blockade, truckers' protest, there is a blockade going on in Alberta, and the truckers' demonstration in Ottawa. These measures are clearly having an impact. Brendan has been following a lot of this. I've been taking note of a lot of things going on today as well in the nation's capital. Brendan's been kind of checking in to see what's going on out in Alberta, at the Alberta-Montana border. And we have a lot of information to share with you. We also have some special guests lined up for you. We have a trucker who's going to talk to us, not just about what has been happening since last weekend, but also about what is happening and what is going to happen this coming weekend if this thing drags on. And he's also going to share his personal experience with getting vaccinated. And I think his story I think you'll find it interesting and informative. So I think that will be a valuable interview, extremely valuable for a lot of people, and will give us some real insight into various aspects of this. But first up, let's go over to Brendan. Brendan, tell us what are the latest developments? Where are we at right now with this protest and the blockade out in Alberta?
Okay, so we have a number of sources. We have CBC News coming up. So first off, Jason Kenney, the premier for Alberta, has come out and stated that some of the people part of the trucking convoy had assaulted members of the RCMP. The head of the RCMP out in Alberta has denied such allegations, so there's a misconstruing of facts there. I guess that there was, when we showed footage yesterday of some tractors and trucks going around the RCMP blockade, that one of them was involved in an accident. It is being shared through the Western Standard and CBC News. Well, not so much CBC News, but Western Standard mostly, that a lot of these truckers are in conversation with several MPPs in Alberta, and they'll be looking at doing some negotiations on lifting the mandates in Alberta specifically. So, as a gesture of good faith, what they have done with this is they have agreed to open one lane going both ways at the border, but they are standing firm and they are staying there. They have got a lawyer at this point, and the lawyer is working with them and the RCMP and the government. So there's some weird things happening with that. That more or less has been it on that front. I think we'll see. We didn't get that RCMP action that we thought we were going to get last night, because if you recall, yesterday the RCMP had declared that the convoy blocking the border was unconstitutional and illegal. So they're there to stay. They're not moving. It's going to be a matter of time longer to see if the government's going to cave on this, because it looks like they're getting cooperation. It was also reported by the Western Standard that the RCMP attempted to recruit different towing companies to come and move some of the transports at the Alberta-Coutts border, but they had rejected any request to go and move the trucks. So you got the truckers and you got the tow trucks standing in solidarity.
So yeah, the tow truck operators. What excuse or reason did they give for not wanting to do what they wanted them to do?
I believe they had made attempts to reach out for statements, but they did not get anything, so I'm not entirely sure there. I would have to pull up the article momentarily, see if there was any response from them. But as far as I could see, it's all is quiet on that front. And we had talked a little bit yesterday that these tow truck drivers and truck drivers, they're more or less of the same. They're kind of birds of a feather, and they flock together. They're heavy equipment operators, they're tradespeople. They're not interested in going against each other, I don't think.
Mhm. Well, I think the big takeaway from this is, and this I think this is the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing now that this movement has legs and it has depth. Here we are, it's now Wednesday. These truckers have been in place in Ottawa for, what is it, 5 days?
Yes, well,
Approximately.
7 days. So our person on the ground, Carla, she's been there since Thursday, and she had said convoys have started to roll in there since last Thursday. So we're on day 7 now.
So they're still there. They're still there in force, and it's been peaceful. But the point is, now we're seeing this spread to other locations. They've Justin Trudeau has refused to meet with the truckers, but we've seen movement in Saskatchewan. The premier there has announced they're removing all the mandates. We're seeing now this blockade in Alberta. So the point I'm making is, even if police move in, or even if this thing falls apart in Ottawa, it's pretty clear that if they chop off the head of that snake, they're not just going to get a new head on the snake; they're going to get new snakes, and they're going to this is going to happen across the country, likely at different border crossings, mostly, and in other provincial capitals, because we're also seeing convoys being organized for Toronto. There are more truckers organizing convoys in Alberta. We're seeing them in all the provinces, really. And I think it's on February. Sure, go ahead, Brendan.
I have an article about that pulled up in the screen share. We could just take a look at that for a moment.
Yeah.
And so here we have it. More blockades forming across Alberta.
Yes.
And there's even footage here provided by the Western Standard.
So that's really the point, right? This is not going away. And I think Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government and some of these provincial governments as well have underestimated just how upset people are, how fed up and tired of all this people are, and it has come to a head. And I don't think these truckers are going to back down. And this is how they're, as I said in the beginning, it wasn't clear how they were really going to apply pressure, and it wasn't clear how much depth or resilience this thing has. But these truckers have resolve, and it has depth. This is gonna drag on. And even if they yank them out of there, even if they get rid of this one in Alberta, this isn't going away.
Yes. Now, in this particular Western Standard article, they had talked to an anonymous counselor for one of the towns or cities in Alberta, and they had compared the trucking convoys to essentially a fire where they've taken their own life, where they make their own wind, they stoke themselves. Like, this is spreading like wildfire, and I think that's probably a really good comparison. Like, it's not going to get any better than that comparison wise. We also see more and more on the convoy fronts abroad, including in Europe, Australia, where we had Wally on just the other day. He told us his story about.
Well, explain who Wally is. Wally's a truck driver in Australia,
yes. Mm-hmm.
who is part of a convoy that is formed there because the Canadian convoys have inspired convoys in other countries. So it's actually not spreading just across Canada, but around the world. And we're seeing convoys even being organized in the United States as well, and quite a few other countries.
Believe it or not, so I've been in conversation with Wally a little bit, and he has told me that their little convoy that they have there is teamed up with a group of Aborigines there, and it has made life really difficult for the government in trying to get them to move. I'm not going to delve too deep into this because I don't have proper source, but I did see some video that kind of confirms what I'm talking about, so I am going to state it, that there was some police action that they tried to do, but because the Aborigines of Australia are standing with the Australian trucker convoy, that they can't touch them and they can't move them.
Yeah. So, I also want to give a shout out here to the Western Standard. We need to acknowledge the good work done by journalists who are out there. And these guys have done a great job in gathering information where other media outlets, including, especially the major mainstream media outlets, have really, I think, let the public down again. And I also need to take my hat off to Rebel News because they have reporters on the ground there as well, where nobody else has been able to get in. And they've done a stand-up job as well in Alberta on the border. They've got a couple of young reporters there who are doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. That they're getting information out there that is real. Even when it comes to what's his name, Ian Bexley, or
Ian Bexley, yes.
Yeah, Ian Bexley. He's doing a bang up job as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the counter signal is what he's operating under now. He's been with the convoy since the very start. So we have a lot of independents that are filling the gaps and are bringing news out to people. And I'd seen a lot of interviews where the mainstream media went to a lot of overpasses to try and interview people. And all these people are telling like these mainstream journalists that they're fake news right to their face. It's quite inspiring to watch.
Well, and that's also why we are here. We are trying to gather information. We have some people on the ground in Ottawa as well who have been sending us live footage and recorded footage as well, and they're keeping us up to date on what is going on in the nation's capital as this convoy for freedom continues to unfold. But we're here because we know that the mainstream media is no longer trustworthy. And I say that from a place where I used to work for them. So for a long, long time. And I don't trust them. So that's why we're here, just to try and provide another outlet, curate the content, bring it all together, touch base with our own people, bring the material here, provide some analysis as well and some perspective, and give people as unfiltered a view of what is going on there as possible. We do have footage coming up from Ottawa that we'll share with you in a short time, and Carla, our person on the street, will be joining us as well to give us a recap on what she has been seeing there through the day today.
Yeah, so she has told me that she's going to be out in the streets a little bit while longer in Ottawa, and we do have another gentleman coming on at 6:30 for the meantime, so
yes,
that's good. I did put in our private chat some footage from Carla today, so if you wanted, we can bring that up and we could share that.
Yep.
Things are looking more of the same in Ottawa. I had taken a look at some articles where they had quoted the police chief of Ottawa. I guess he made another statement today, and he is washing his hands of it, and he's saying this is a federal problem. This is not an Ottawa problem. And he had even used the word using the military to help get everybody out. I don't know how much of that is true, but we have a lot of political actors here that are all talk and no action, which is to the benefit of everybody in Ottawa right now, would be my analysis on that.
Well, here's Carla Let's fire up her video and see what she has to share with us.
This was an hour ago, by the way.
These are your dangerous fascists dancing in the streets. I just that's what the mainstream media would have you believe anyway.
I've never been more terrified in my entire life looking at this.
It really has been sort of a festival rally type atmosphere up there since over the weekend and even into today. Playing street hockey. We've seen video of the people there cleaning up the streets,
cleaning up statues.
They've been giving away free food to people in need. And the horns keep on blaring, sending a message straight to Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government. So this is in Ottawa at Parliament Hill. This is from our person on the street, Carla, and people from all walks of life there, as you can see. And the First Nations peoples have had a pretty heavy presence there throughout this. So a lot of unity, a lot of national pride. That's what we've been seeing. A lot of flag waving, a lot of Canadian flags.
And we've been following this so closely from the beginning, and I can't get over how well it's going, and this is destroying a lot of the mainstream media's efforts in trying to put negative spins on this that I'm not even going to mention those things right now because
yes.
I think this is just beautiful. And all these smiling faces, and this is a population that's fed up with virtue signaling, with political correctness.
This is raw footage, unfiltered, uncensored, unedited. It's just raw footage that Carla is sending us. And this is in stark contrast to the story that the mainstream media has been trying to peddle, where they're saying there are, racist flags and racist people and misogynists and people with unacceptable views, and they're dangerous people. Does this look dangerous to you?
No, it doesn't. In fact, I'm observing there's a significant amount of women in the crowd. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the definition of misogynist would have to be like a man, wouldn't it?
I don't know, man. It's just people can see this and judge for themselves. You can't hide the truth forever, right? Here it is. This is what's going on right now, or was an hour ago. We do have Brian Brown in the wings. He's going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes. He's a truck driver. He's going to share his perspective on everything that's going on in Ottawa and talk to us about what's likely to happen in the days ahead too.
Oh, look at that violence, touching! How dare they? Carla has compared the events down there kind of to Woodstock, which I think is
because of the size of the crowd, especially on the weekend, and I think the atmosphere as well, right?
I've been seeing complaints from locals about this a little bit, but I would have to say that at this point, they're better off calling their government offices and telling them to get rid of all of the mandates. This is what the government has done to our country.
Yes.
It didn't take the media to unite us. It didn't take politicians. It took truckers.
Well, I'm going to tone this down just a little bit here. And let's bring in Brian Brown. Brian, welcome to our live stream. How are you this evening?
I'm really good, guys. How are you?
Outstanding.
Doing well, sir. Thank you.
Yes, we're watching this footage from Ottawa, and boy, I'll tell you, I find inspiration in it. I really do.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying, isn't it? Just terrifying watching what's going on there.
Oh,
I don't know
let's see
how
what
I got.
Carl has to
I don't know
say.
how I was down there since Friday, and I came back home yesterday because I had medical appointments. But I don't know how I got out of that jungle alive, man. It was brutal, absolutely horrifying, dripping with sarcasm, as you can tell.
People dancing in the street to Sweet Caroline. Oh, the humanity.
Oh, the humanity. Jeez. I'll never be able to see straight again. No.
So why don't you tell people who you are? You have, I guess, you're a trucker, but you also have a YouTube channel that has really exploded, right? And it's all focused on trucking.
It is. I am, first and foremost, I am a trucker. I'm a long haul driver. I'm an owner operator. I mean, I own my own tractor, and I'm on the road. I'm usually gone from the house anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm home and then gone again. But yeah, I've also got a YouTube channel that we just started, just sort of as a little side. I don't know, maybe you want to call it like a project, or just a side. There's some things in the trucking industry I just thought were kind of interesting, and if I could catch it on camera and maybe, bring it online and show it and talk to people and offer advice. I've been doing this a long time. So if I can help, the younger guys coming into the industry get a better start at it, so they didn't have to struggle so much like a lot of us did way back in the day. And then the convoy come along, and I kind of I'm off work again for medical reasons because I took the shot and had a bad reaction to it, so I can't work.
Yeah, we can talk more about that in a moment. Yeah, I'd like to.
Sure, yeah. So I packed everything up. I went up to Ottawa, took the truck. I was with the first group from Toronto, the original group that went into Ottawa. So we were the first ones on the ground. I don't know what you want to call it, like the first group. And then from Friday, it just got big. Lack of a better, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and right up to what it is right now, where it's just huge. It's massive. They weren't expecting this, believe me.
Our other co-host, Chris Baugh, is going to join us now too. I know that he's in the wings here. Let's see if we can bring him up. Hello, Chris.
Hey, I did. Sorry, it's a little snowy where we're at right now, so getting across town takes a little bit of time. Hey, Thanks for waiting. Sorry I'm late. It's great to see you guys. Hi, Brian. My name's Chris.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well right now. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right.
So you were down in Ottawa over the weekend. You had to leave for a little while, but you're going back?
We are. Oh yeah, damn right we are. Actually, I was supposed to go back today, but then one of the results from my test didn't come back on time, so I had to wait. And then they announced today, the convoy announced today that they were breaking a portion of it off, and they're going to Toronto. Right. So they've got 5,000 trucks that are on their way. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what time it was. At 6:25. They're either there or they're damn close to being there. But they are going to go down to Toronto. They're going to go down to Parliament Hill. Not Parliament Hill. Sorry.
Queen's Park.
Queen's Park.
Queen's Park. Thank you. They're going to go down to Queen's Park, and they're going to kind of vamp it up from there. And I can guarantee you put 5,000 people in trucks down at Queen's Park, and you're going to have gridlock down there as well. We don't need something as big as Ottawa to climb up Toronto, because Toronto is just as confined as Ottawa is.
It's congested as it is.
It really is.
all the time. Yeah, it's terrible.
They got twice the population as well. Remember, like Toronto's
Mhm.
what, 2.7 million?
Yes.
Ottawa's 1.4. So yeah, it's and then I know for a fact as well that there's flyers and I'm getting emails. There's just so much coming in. Believe me, my wife and I are trying to rifle through it as fast as we can and get
So it's
back
clear
to it.
this is not just an Ottawa thing anymore, man.
It's about to spread. It's going to do Toronto. I wouldn't be, honest to God, I wouldn't be surprised if it did like Toronto, if it rolled into Montreal, because all of the East boys, there's still upwards of 100,000 trucks that didn't even get into Ottawa. They're on the outskirts. I think I was listening to the podcast I think you did yesterday, and you guys were talking about the traffic jams up on the 417 and this and that, and we've still got trucks even outside the outskirts of that are sitting there that can't get in. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just pull a 180 and they head to Montreal.
Yeah, hey Chris, maybe you could pull up one of those maps again, like you did yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be great.
So Brian, I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
So Doug Ford came out yesterday, quite late to the party, to condemn what is happening in Ottawa. Do you think that has fueled this drive to bring the party to him?
You know what? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate between him and I'm assuming that you guys saw the Prime Minister's message, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, really.
That was embarrassing. That's the face of our country right there.
The world's laughing.
The world is having a good chuckle right now, for lack of better terms. You're right. But yeah, if Doug Ford didn't do himself any favors by doing that. He picked the wrong group of people to go, nah, I'm not going to talk to you, and just like to basically go away, because this is not going to happen.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
He was voted in by the blue collar, like, if I'm not mistaken, like that's what
he
brought him in.
He was,
and
believe it or not, a lot of us, and at this moment I'm embarrassed to say so, but I voted for him. I was one of them that voted him in. When he was doing his campaign, and he was saying the right things, and he was dotting all his I's and crossing all his T's for the blue collar guys just like me that were out there trucking, and he did the right things and said the right things, but by God, he's dropping the ball right now. He should be standing down at Queen's Park, at the corner of what is it, Yonge and whatever, or Bay and whatever, and he should be standing there waiting for us. That's what he should be doing. He should be in his coat with his security team, waiting for us with a notepad, a lawyer, and whatever else he needs, and he should be waiting for us, and he'd be, come on in, boys, come on in, and let's talk about this. And that's what he should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And for people in other countries who are watching, Doug Ford is the Premier of the province of Ontario, but probably not for much longer.
I don't imagine. There's a lot of changes going on there, or they will be going. I can probably guarantee you that there's a whack of guys that have jobs now that will not be having jobs at election time, or even before election time. They're going to get the boot.
Yes,
they really are.
Do you think the federal and provincial governments have underestimated the truckers? Big time.
If you're stupid enough to call us a fringe minority before we're even there, you know what? that was fuel. That was fuel. When he said that you guys they're nothing but a fringe minority, that was fuel. Then every one of us just we pushed that gas pedal down even harder and said, okay, we'll show you a fringe minority.
But it's worse than that, because they're insulting you, saying, accusing you of being racists and fascists, and I mean every ist and ism that they can throw at all the mud that the Prime Minister has been slinging. It's gross.
It is. And what it is, and our take on it. There was a bunch of us, and because we were there and we were watching and we were listening, and a lot of what it is the Prime Minister. Obviously, he called us a small fringe minority. He wasn't expecting this, but then when he realized how much crap he was seriously in, and I'm sure his advisors were screaming at him like,
What are you doing?
You have to talk to these people. You have to talk to these people. This can't be happening. And then he came out and made that speech. I don't know. I don't know who wrote that speech. I hope whoever wrote it, I hope they got a kick in the ass. You know, a serious kick in the butt. I really do. Sorry, I got sidetracked there for a second there. I just lost my thought. I know there was a question in there, Rick. Sorry.
Yeah, well, just, you know, we're just trying to get a perspective on this, and you know, I think I just wanted to know if you thought that the governments had underestimated the truckers, and not only the truckers, but don't you think they've probably underestimated the Canadian public and misread the mood of the people?
I believe so. I believe so, because this convoy wasn't about the truckers. Okay, it wasn't. You got to remember, this country over the last 2 years has been mandate after mandate. This business, open, close, bankrupt. This business, open, close, bankrupt. I mean, these mandates have touched every single person in this country, whether they want to admit it or not. You've been affected by these mandates. Now, the Prime Minister underestimated us because the very last mandate that they put in was the cross-border for guys like me. And all that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. That's all that was. This convoy sitting in Ottawa and soon to be sitting in Toronto and probably in a couple other cities is there representing everybody, every walk of life, like probably the hardest, in my opinion, probably the hardest working people through this pandemic, the nurses. I mean, they got one of the biggest kicks in the pills you've ever seen. Those poor buggers. Our firefighters, our police forces, our EMT workers, all of these people, along with the truck drivers that kept this country going and running, all got mandated. You know, basically, you either get the shot or you don't have a job. So it's a representation of everything. And again, the 4 days that I was down there, we had volunteers, you know, feeding us and taking care of us. And we had nurses, retail workers, construction guys, taxi drivers, you name it. Okay. They were handing us gift bags with thank you notes in it, telling who they were and what walk of life they came from. My wife and I went down there on the Friday, like I said, down to Toronto on Friday, and then we were in Ottawa Friday. We packed up my trucks. I took my transport down. We took all of our food and our clothing and everything. We came home with all the same food. We didn't touch any of the food we took with us. We were fed and taken care of and praised and thanked and loved and everything else under the sun. It was probably, for 4 days, I've never been more proud to be a Canadian. For 4 days.
I think that
especially
sentiment,
over the last 2 years.
That sentiment rings true across the country, I believe. And you see that with everybody who came out to every overpass, every town. I know some people who live on remote areas in northern Ontario on Highway 17 who dug themselves out of the snow to go and greet you guys as they were rolling across the Trans-Canada Highway. Like, this is international, and I absolutely love it. You made a good point there, though, that it's not just the truckers. It's also the healthcare workers, and it's also the other people who got shocked by the system. And it seemed like there was not enough unity when mandates hit these independent movements, these independent employments. But then once it hit enough of them, we all got together and said, no. That's very inspiring.
I agree. I think what it is as well is there aren't enough nurses to do something on this level. There aren't enough taxi drivers. There aren't enough. But you know what, guys? There are enough truckers. There are. There are enough truckers. And this was the straw that broke the camel's back. The government went over the line, and we said, no, it's not going to happen. Not on our watch.
And you guys, you truckers, you know what strikes are about. You know how, you know what labor movements are all about. You know how to protest peacefully. and you don't want to mess with the truckers because you guys know how to organize, and you got the rigs, you've got the mobility, you've got it together.
Absolutely. And we're very fortunate that the people that organized this convoy, although on Friday and Saturday they were overwhelmed because, like I said, they weren't expecting the numbers they got. They just the sheer volume. They did get overwhelmed, but they were able to keep it together. And like this is well organized. You know, I was talking to my brother-in-law, and we were joking, and he said this and that. And I said, this reminds me of a massive outdoor rock concert. And instead of showing up with pickup trucks for tailgating, we all just showed up in transports. That's what it is. You guys have seen it. I've seen the footage. The hockey games broke out. Guys, like my channel, sorry, shameless plug here, the Wheel Burner Express. On my YouTube channel, we've got footage up there of after the sun went down, all of the volunteers came in and ate, and then the music came on, and they were dancing. So were the truckers. It turned into like just an evening party, but it was by no means rowdy or problematic. But you know, the music came on, and basically all these people, these volunteers that killed themselves all day to take care of us, they were blowing off steam, and rightly so. They damn well deserved it.
Yeah.
Just a moment here, Brian. So that was not a shameless plug of your YouTube channel. The people want to know what's your YouTube channel one more time?
It's called the Wheel Burner Express.
Okay, perfect. So I have a question.
Sure.
Media has liked to crutch upon the Canadian Trucking Alliance. How much pull and how much voice do they actually matter? Because
And I guess, do they really represent truckers, or do they represent companies?
The Canadian Trucking Alliance. This is a funny thing, and I did an episode on this just actually. We released it this morning. The Canadian Trucking Alliance does not represent the individual trucker. It is made up of 4,500 trucking companies and their associated dealers. Okay, that's who the Trucking Alliance. So all of the companies, the big companies that we work for or whatever, that is who are the members of the Canadian Trucking Alliance. So they don't represent us. They are a body that basically donated a crap ton of money to these political parties. Okay, I'm not part of the Canadian Trucking Alliance. The companies are, and their associated dealers. For example, again, all of you guys can pull up the names on Google or if you have to, but there's companies like BlackBerry, Volvo, Mack, Glassvan. These are all companies that are associated with the big trucking companies that help them with trailers, parts, services, e-logs, electronic devices, all of that kind of crap. And that's what the Canadian Trucking Alliance is. It's not drivers. Drivers don't have a say in anything, and they are big, and they have a lot of money. If you look at the Canadian Trucking Alliance, if you look at their board of directors, most of the board of directors of the Canadian Trucking Alliance are the presidents of these of all these trucking companies. I think the president is a large trucking company, the vice president, and the chairman, and this, and that. They've got probably, I don't know, maybe 15 people, let's say, and they're all in positions of power for the Canadian Trucking Alliance, but they also are, upper management on these trucking companies, the large trucking companies.
So when the media has been reporting that the Canadian Trucking Alliance condemned this convoy, came out against it. It's sort of misleading. It's making it look like the truckers are divided and that their own association, right? The whole thing from the very beginning. This is what I said. This is not they don't represent truckers, and the media is twisting things again to manipulate information to divide and try to conquer.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for channels and for guys like you that are doing this, that are not going to be edited or are not going to be censored, what we've seen in the media is disgusting. But you got to remember as well, CBC, City TV, CTV, the National, where do they get their funding from? Right? They get their funding. Their funding
is
coming from the big JT.
Yeah.
Right? Do you seriously, in your right mind, think that any of them are going to cross him? Hell no. When the first truck rolled into Ottawa, I guarantee you somebody in Justin's office called the president or the board of directors for every single one of those news media outlets and says, okay, you're going to report what we want you to report. And if you report anything else, you can count your fund, your $2.9 million or whatever the hell it is. You can kiss that goodbye next quarter. And I can guarantee you those phone calls were made, because just based on what the mainstream media has reported so far, they haven't been able to find anything. And the little teeny issues that they did find, they had to blow up into monstrous events. And we all know, it didn't happen. Did we take? They're telling us we took food from the homeless. Are you crazy? Every homeless person in Ottawa was down there eating for free. Right?
That's
What
right.
the hell are you talking about? We fed more people than the city did, for crying out loud. And
It was beyond laughable, really. It was disgusting, but at the same time laughable. That
It
whole
really was,
Nazi
Rick.
flag thing, that was manufactured. It's got fake written all over it. The whole thing with the Terry Fox statue, ooh, they put a Canadian flag on him. Oh my God! Clutch your pearls and get out the smelling salts. Come on.
Did they not, when the Pride parade went through, they were hanging Pride flags on it?
Yep.
Shame on us to hang a Canadian flag on one of the greatest Canadians in the world.
Oh my.
Shame on us. Oh, the tyranny. Give me a break.
Oh, it's because we have our own opinion. That's why.
Yeah, well.
Fabrications, distortions, half truths. No, but the truth
It
is
doesn't
there.
matter
People
at
can
the
see
end.
it. People can see it. For
Exactly.
themselves.
At the end, it's all the truth is coming out. There's way too much coverage now. For example, guys like you obviously, you guys know you're not the only ones covering this. There's way more. This is the third one of these that I've done. There's more of you covering it than the mainstream. Even if the mainstream had a wide open and was allowed to, there's still more of you guys covering it. So the truth, even regardless of what they report, the truth is coming through.
People
It
should
doesn't matter.
People should just turn that stuff off and cancel their subscriptions, because it's
Absolutely.
just propaganda. That's all it is. Bought and paid for by the government.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
We're the
100%.
we're the coolest stream you've been on, though, right?
Oh, hell yeah, by far. Yeah.
And we invited you here because you've got the coolest YouTube channel going.
Yeah, he does.
We needed a boost.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you guys hooked that up. I'm glad you saw that.
Actually, Rick, we're getting all kinds of comments here about Brian's channel. Are you able to plug up a banner, the Wheel Burner Express? Put that up there for the people to see. I think I absolutely love that you've taken the time to come on, Brian, and as much support and ads that we can get for you would be absolutely great. So
you know what? I can actually, Dar, come here, please. Can you grab one of my business cards? Yeah. Sure. I'm just going to grab a business card with my logo and YouTube and all of that on it. And I'll hold it up, and if it works and you guys can grab it, then
Sure.
I'd appreciate that. I really do. Thanks, man.
yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your experience with the vaccine.
Sure.
You have
Absolutely.
been vaccinated, you said, right?
I had the first shot. The first shot was on December 4th. I wasn't going to get the shot. Okay. Nothing about this sits right with me. I don't care what anybody says. All they did is they took a bunch of crap, put it in a blender, mixed it up, and put it in needles and said, "Here, let's try this." It's too experimental, and that's just my opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
I was not going to get it, but because of the mandate, I, like a lot of guys, the doctors or the nurses, everybody else, I'm thinking, okay, I need to cross the border to do my job. I do. So I took the first shot on December 4th. That was a Saturday. On the 6th, I was on the road. I had a headache, which I still have today. I've still got the headache. It's never gone away. It's just not as bad because I've been able to get medications for it. And that was on the 6th. By the 15th, I was having pains in my chest and my legs, and my joints were swelling up. like I'm 52, so I've got some mild arthritis going on, but nothing that prevents me from, it's not, it's just I live with it. But I mean, like, it is just serious. Like, your joints are swelling up, everything's hurting and everything like that. And then I came in off the road on the 22nd. I was home for a couple of days just resting, and on the 24th we went to my in-laws for Christmas Eve for dinner, and we got home that night and I was taken into the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought there was, and it took them 90 minutes. I was taken into the General Hospital in Napanee, and a big plug for them. Great hospital. They really are a really good bunch of people in there. And it took them 90 minutes to figure out what was wrong. And they did an ultrasound on my leg, and they found the 4, they weren't big clots, but they were decent size, enough to block the blood. And then when they realized, okay, he's got all this chest pain, it took me to the other end of the hospital and gave me a CT scan. And that's when they found the 2 large blood clots in my left lung. Basically, I got lucky because they were working their way up, and instead of going straight, they took left turn to the lung. If they'd have kept going straight, that'd have gone through the heart. So I caught a break on that one. I caught a break on that one. That generally is. You take a giant, a good sized blood clot the size that I've got through the heart, you're dead before you hit the floor in most cases.
Yeah, there's multiple sizes of the valves.
Yeah. So then, then of course I've got tingling in my fingers and toes that's never gone away. It's almost like when your feet are asleep or your hands, you've got that, and on my fingers. These are all the symptoms I've got right now, and I've had to go. I've been working with some specialists and the doctors. So right now I'm on blood thinners to keep the blood flowing. I'm on enzymes to try to break down the blood clots because they don't operate on them anymore. It's not like back in the years ago where they just go in and take them out. They don't do that anymore. I'm on an inhibitor to help me with the tingling and the headaches. And I'm on a steroid. I'm on a steroid to help me with the joint pain and everything and all the swelling that's going on with my knees, my hips, my ankles, my wrists. And that's where I'm sitting right now. And that was all because of the shot.
Which one did you get?
I got the Pfizer shot. And 4 weeks prior to that, I had just had my annual physical. Mm-hmm. Clean bill of health. There's nothing wrong. Like, for a 52-year-old guy, I'm 20 pounds overweight. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with me. Right? Passed my tests, all my blood work, my cholesterol, blah, 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 blah. It was for the ministry. It was for my driver's license. So they're pretty thorough on those, eh? And perfect clean bill of health. Get the shot, and 4 weeks later, I'm on my butt.
And that's my heart goes out to you, man. Like that, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. What type of accountability from the medical professionals are you seeing on this? Is anybody saying, this is a side effect, or are they gaslighting it, or like what's the story there?
No, between my family doctor, the specialist that we've been working with at the hospital, and the other doctors, nobody in their right mind is going to turn around and say, yes, this is a result of taking the Pfizer shot. Big Pharma owns the hospital, right? Big Pharma owns the hospitals, right? They throw a lot of money at these hospitals and a lot of money and funding at these doctors. And not one of them is going to open their mouth and say, yeah, it's Pfizer's problem. It's Pfizer's fault. Because if they did, chances are that doctor would be working down the hall sweeping it next week. There's not a doctor in sight. And the ones that are, I've heard of stories where the odd doctor here and there has spoke up. They're either on their way out and they're ready to retire, or they're so bloody wealthy rich they don't care. But the people I've been trying to talk to, because I can get an exemption. There is a medical exemption for this, but I have to be able to prove that it was an allergic reaction as a result of getting the shot. There's no gray area. It's black or white, zero gray area. And in order to do that, you have to have a doctor at some level sign off on that, and I have not been successful. Not yet.
So where does that leave you with your job then?
Brother, I don't know yet. My wife and I are making some very, very hard decisions right now, because I just bought this truck. I bought a brand new truck. So I'm, you know, when you're buying that kind of equipment, you know, you're into it for a couple $100,000.
And this
So
is what it's really all. This is what it's all about, right? Because now you're being backed into a corner where you have had a reaction. You can't get an exemption because the doctors won't write you the letter because they're afraid to say anything, and you've got all these debts, and you have to make a living, and they're saying, well, you've got a choice, but you really don't have a choice, do you? They're not really giving you a choice. They're giving you what?
An ultimatum.
I guess, an ultimatum.
They're giving you an ultimatum. A choice is when, you know, you have a choice, and you are right, Rick. I have a choice. I can take the shot, or I don't have to take a shot. Now that would be a clear choice. But when the government turns to me and says, "Okay, Brian, you can take the shot, or you don't take the shot. But if you don't take the shot, you're going to lose your job." That's no longer a choice, guys. That's an ultimatum, and that's what they've done. They put a gun to our heads. And what do you do?
And because you've already had a reaction to it, that the risk to you personally is very clear, and yet the government is still applying pressure on someone like yourself to go ahead and do this.
I'm not taking that second shot. Are you crazy? I dodged a bullet this time. I got lucky. You think I'm going to gamble? I go to Vegas a couple times a year, and we like to gamble, but like I'm not gambling with my life.
No.
You know, I'm not gambling with my livelihood. You know, I've got a beautiful home here. I've got a beautiful wife here. I've got, you know, we've done okay, and we've built a decent life, and we've, you know, this business has put, you know, I've got 5 daughters, and we've put them all through this trucking business. My job is put them all through college and university. And so I'm not gambling with this. Are you crazy? Not a chance in hell am I taking that second shot.
Right.
The only way for me to go back to work, or the only option I have, is I can run. And some guys are going to try this. I bid them luck. I might have to try it for a bit just to kind of extend myself. It's just run across Canada only. Right? Don't go to the States. Just basically run coast to coast across Canada. But unfortunately, for guys like us, it's unless you're working with a company and you're a company driver and you're not paying the bills, it's impossible. Our fuel in Canada, when you do the conversion and then you change it from liters to gallons and whatnot, we're paying over $5.50 a gallon, whereas I can buy it in the States for $3.35.
Yeah.
So for me to run across Canada, I'd need to make $8.50 a mile. Whereas to run back and forth across the States, you know, you can do it and be successful at $3 a mile.
Now, you have mentioned like possibly doing runs in Canada and stuff. Now, I haven't seen anybody other than the Daily Wire push this out, but the sneaky Trudeau government had leaked a tweet, and I'm going to share this here because I've talked a little bit about this yesterday. And the Daily Wire, so I got my screen shared there, if you could bring that up for us, Rick.
Sure.
So the Trudeau government plans to hit truckers again, implement interprovincial vaccine mandates. And so this government employee here is working with the transport minister, Omar Algebra. So there's working being done on getting interprovincial vaccine passports. So it looks like they're trying to hit your industry again. Is anybody else talking about that?
We heard about that, but in order for the right honorable prime minister to do that, he has to have the cooperation of all the premiers, right, for each province. That's not something that I think he's in a position that he can mandate. Right, because that would be at a provincial level. For me to enter a province is a provincial level. It's not a federal. It's not a federal decision. And as you can tell, right, as you may have heard, certain provinces right now have dropped the mandates. I think Alberta did this afternoon or yesterday. Saskatchewan has. They're dropping their mandates. They're opening themselves back up against the prime minister's, you know, wishes or whatever else you want to call it. So in order for him to do that, what's he going to do? He can't call out, you know, he can't call out the reserve army. He can't. How's he going to enforce that? Now, I'm not saying that he can't, or he may not be able to twist an arm, or he may not have another rabbit that he can pull out of his butt. He might, but I think that would be very difficult for him to do, because I think right now even the premiers across this country are like the four of us sitting here shaking our heads what this idiot did and said.
Yeah. So you guys are not just doing this for truckers, because the situation you're in. You're not alone. I'm sure there are a lot of other people, even in other industries, facing a similar
Sure.
situation, right?
Sure. Without naming names, like I live in Stone Mills, which is just north of like Kingston, Napanee area. I'm just out in the country. But if I go into Kingston and go into certain retail stores, anybody who works in that store, and it says right on the doors, anybody that works in that store has been mandated to be double vaxxed. It tells you right on the store. And I don't know, am I allowed to say it, a company name? Like one of the
Go
biggest
ahead.
companies that
Yep.
Carhartt.
Mm-hmm.
Carhartt, and I think that one's well known. That one blew up, but there's a Carhartt retailer in Kingston, and people that work there you have to be double vaxxed, or boy, you're unemployed. That's the mandate. That is it. That's the same mandate I'm dealing with. Same one.
Yes.
So that's what we're representing, not just us. It's the stores, the retailers, the construction workers, the office workers, certain office companies, if they're not able bankers, if they're not able to work remote and they have to be in an office, and then the company forces them to double vax. Well, they're taking your choice and giving you the ultimatum. Either you're double vaxxed or you're unemployed.
It's not a choice. And they use words, they've been using words like encouraging vaccinations when in fact they're forcing. It's coercion.
That's baloney.
It's
Nobody's
coercion.
being encouraged. You're absolutely right. Good word, Rick. It's coercion. Nobody's being nobody. That's a joke.
How do you feel about that? Is it on the ethical side?
Makes me angry. It makes me angry. It makes me angry that I live in a country where, I was born here, I was raised here. I've always had these rights and freedoms, and not to sound like an American, but I've always had these rights, these freedoms, these liberties. I've always lived a very good life in this country. In this country, I've been very proud to live in, and I've always been comfortable in this country. I've never had to be afraid in this country. I've never had, anything horrible like any of the other countries. Look across the globe over there, what those people are growing up. I never had to grow up like that. I grew up in a great country, and here I am in the later stages of my life watching my country turn into that, and I am angry. I am angry because at 52, it's not like I'm a senior citizen. I've still got some years left, but all of my kids are between the ages of 20 and 30. All five of them. The youngest is 20 and the oldest is 30. But they're the generation that are going to absolutely take the kick in the ass from being mandated to death. And if we don't do something about it, it'll become normal to them. And that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where what I'm fighting about and trying to stop and trying to get rid of, they grow up and think that's normal, because it's not normal. What I grew up with was normal. That was normal. The generation before me, my parents, that was normal. The generation before that, they were the ones that are laying down their lives at the Second World War so that we have what we have right now, right? Those veterans there, the World War II veterans, the next two generations, my parents and me, have enjoyed those freedoms because of what they did. And now our government and our tyrannical leader is now turning stuff around, and unfortunately the country that I'm going to leave my children is not what I had growing up, and to say I'm angry, it makes me mad as hell.
Canadians went to war against real fascism and real communism, and it's just enraging to see our prime minister and our government then turn around and smear you and all these truckers and a huge portion of the Canadian population, Canadian citizens, with this fake label, this phony fascism label. It's just disgusting That's not
It
what
is.
we're seeing down there. You know what we're seeing down in Ottawa and at the border in Alberta? We're seeing the best of Canada, or we're seeing the best of Canadians. That's really what's on display.
I couldn't agree with you more. You want to see the best of what Canada's got? You look around right now, buddy. This is the best we got, and we're giving it all we've got. All we've got, and this is the best we've got. You're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right.
So, do you think that there's been this is the boiling point after 2 years of lockdowns and censorships,
Yes.
and you're not allowed to say this and you're not allowed to say that?
Yeah, like I said earlier, the last 2 years, COVID came in, they weren't prepared, they dropped the ball. Everybody knows that. That's no big secret. And then all of the mandates came in, this and that, one after another, and like I said, just for what you're saying there, the last straw was the mandate on the truckers, and everybody's had enough. The whole country has had enough. It's not just us. Everybody's had enough. We just happen to be, the ones that said, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to represent you. And you're more than welcome to join in with us, please. And like I said, in Ottawa, we saw representatives of every single career or job that has been affected by this. They are there right now. I'm sitting comfortably in my house, but they are there working their asses off, freezing their asses off, making sure that those drivers are okay. And again, I told you before, I was taken care of while I was there. The Ford I was there, I had nurses serving me. I had a doctor come up and kiss my hand, telling me thank you. He grabbed my hand out the window of my truck, and he was kissing my hand and saying thank you. And he was an elderly gentleman. I think he felt a lot like I did. He's watching what's happening to his country. It's
Yeah.
again.
So-
I get a little tongue tied, and I get a little, because first my brain works faster than my mouth does, but I do get angry and I do get frustrated, and I got to watch what I say, because I literally want to stand on the roof of my house, beat my chest, and scream my head off. I really do.
No, I think that throughout our conversation here tonight, you were very well spoken. You're very sincere. There's nothing here that I think you've said tonight that could be misconstrued in any way. And so, I can't thank you enough for sharing this message. And we've been working very hard on sharing these exact same sentiments.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I do. I hope that more, your channel is good. Of course, I checked it out before I came on. I wasn't giving anybody a free pass, but
No.
So I did like what you guys were doing, and I do know that there are some other guys out there doing it as well. Maybe not as good as you guys, thumbs up, but you guys, they're doing a good job, and that's what we need. Please keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing
Well,
it. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up.
We just felt there was a need, and we saw that history was unfolding. So, I resurrected my news platform, which I really hadn't been using for some time. I thought we got to do something here. And then Brendan and Chris had their podcast, so we kind of teamed up, and we thought, we got to get the word out there to make sure that people see the truth, right?
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. You are doing us a great service by doing this, because this is live. This is there's no editing. CBC doesn't have a take in it. Nobody's what they're seeing is just four guys sitting around discussing this, and this is how we feel about it. So I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate you joining us. And you are heading off to Ottawa again when?
I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, now I'm trying to make the decision. Do I want to go to Toronto or do I want to go to Ottawa?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to be talking to a guy. His name is Dave Steenberg. He was the original convoy captain that brought us out of Toronto up to Ottawa. He's taken the other 5,000 down to Toronto. So I'm going to be probably talking to him this evening to see what port or how I can help in Toronto. If they need the help and they need the numbers, then I'll go to Toronto. If they don't and they've got enough and they're doing good, then you know what? I'll beeline back to Ottawa. So I'll definitely be back up there by the weekend. because there's just too much happening and it's killing me on my own channel that I'm missing it. But I will definitely be up there for the weekend, but possibly as much as early as possibly Friday morning, maybe Thursday night. So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Godspeed
Hold
to
on.
you.
Shameless plug. Here you go.
Oh, there
Did
you
see
go.
that?
Yep. Everybody, you can find Brian at the Wheel Burner Express on YouTube. That's the Wheel Burner Express on YouTube. Be sure to check it out, and I know I will be.
Yeah, it's a great
Man,
channel.
I
You got some
appreciate
great videos on there. I've been watching your stuff, and
I appreciate that. Thanks.
yeah, doing a great job, man.
Thank
All
you.
right, anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, I'm good. I think my mouth is dry. I'm ready to go have a drink.
All right, we got her covered. Thank you very much, Brian Brown, for joining us tonight
No problem.
as our
You, sir.
coverage of Freedom Convoy 2022 continues. Take care. We will be in touch. I'll be messaging you.
All right. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks. Take care. See
Thank
you,
you.
Brian.
Keep on trucking.
That was
I had to
awesome.
throw that in there. That
Good man.
was, yes.
Great Canadian,
So I think that
Brian Brown.
I think now would probably be a good time to talk about the latest development with the Conservative Party. Hey, Chris, do you have that map? If you could bring that up of Ottawa, I think we should take a look at that.
Yeah, well, you guys do that. I'm going to duck out, just check on an internet thing here. I'll be back in about 1 or 2 minutes.
Oh, don't leave that window.
Maps in the share screen.
Okay, perfect. So, have you caught wind of the word regarding Aaron O'Toole today?
Yes, it did, and it was pretty quick. That's probably the fastest turnaround in politics I've seen.
So, I think that's a direct pressure on from the truckers onto Parliament, and Aaron O'Toole showing his true colors as a red Tory. Like he was booted so fast, like it made my head spin. Like I couldn't believe it. It was just development Monday night. It hit. Everything else kind of just seemed to follow. There's going to be a new interim party leader for the Conservative Party of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we could speculate a little bit. Who do you think that might be?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I haven't had a chance to really check up on some of the people, but I've heard a couple people have thrown their hat into the ring, but I hadn't had a chance to really look into that. But I don't know. A lot of people are talking about hoping that they put Pierre there, and the idea maybe him being the PM. Personally, I like him in the position he's in, but as an interim would be fine until they find a proper leader for the party. But yeah, how about yourself?
Well, I really like Pierre a lot. I really do. I think he would fulfill a nice role as opposition leader, but I don't think he would fulfill the role as of a government leader. Like I think he would divide more people than he would bring together ultimately. I think while he is in opposition, he could possibly bring more accountability to Justin Trudeau, and he could help turn some things around with the trucking convoy in Ottawa. So that there is that, but I'm just not sure. I think the deputy leader, the Honorable Candice Bergen, I think she might have a better opportunity of getting people to unite, because this party is really fractured right now. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if O'Toole ran to the Liberal side of the House.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But like, I do agree with you. The pressure has been applied, and significantly to the Conservative Party because of how much support the convoy and the protesters have received from that specific party. So it's really kind of kicked the rest of the caucus in gear, going, "Hey, we got to do something about this. We're starting to lose the public appeal." So they're starting to, they got themselves together, pulled their socks up, and they did what they're supposed to do, which is fantastic. And for me, it shows that the pieces are turning, the gears are turning, the pieces are moving, the message is starting to get across. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, this needs to stop." The message has been given. What? It hasn't exactly, because the language being used. So just yeah, it's gonna be an interesting next few short future in the future here. Anyway,
So I kind of missed what you guys said, but you think that the uh, the removal of O'Toole is a result of what's going on with the truckers?
Yes, I have a feeling because so many conservative MPs have come out and sided with the truckers, and he showed his out of touch colors by recommending uh, more education for truckers and roadside truck stop vaccine clinics and this sort of thing. It just shows how disconnected he is, and he's very careful about showing any kind of support for the truckers. So I think this has caused a direct split with the party and kind of led to where Flip Flop O'Toole has ended up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we have to remember that all of these members of parliament sat back and let all this unfold.
Oh, I remember.
Nobody opposed any of this stuff.
oh yeah, we're not giving them a pass. We were just merely mentioning it. That party specifically, they have probably felt a bit more pressure on a public sense because of the certain members in their caucus who have reached out in such high support of the protest, comparable to any other MPs or of any party, or you know what I mean. So like it's like the public's eye had been focused on them, so they're like, okay, well now we have to do something about them, you know.
Well,
But,
I mean, it looks like some political opportunism to me.
yeah, it's just another bit of theater in a different, it's a different bit of politics in a different theater.
Well, I would suspect that many MPs have wanted to speak out about some things, and we've seen that with Pierre Poilievre saying, you'll own nothing and be happy. We've seen that. But I think O'Toole has censored the party greatly and has told a lot of people what they can and can't say and what they can and can't do. I think this is a direct reflection of his leadership, and this is why he is gone. Because he's irrelevant, he is spineless, and he is... I don't know what to say other than he just doesn't have any balls. Like, I don't get it.
Well, I think that, honestly, the entire party, the entire Conservative Party, is morally bankrupt. They have no conviction. They, for a long time, ever since Stephen Harper left, they just blow in whatever direction the wind seems to be, to bend in the direction of the wind. And O'Toole took them down a road, and so did Andrew Scheer, where they simply say things that they think voters want to hear, and they try to appease people on the left that are probably never going to vote conservative anyway, because they think the only way to win is to capture some of that liberal vote. And they don't have any conviction when it comes to political ideology, or they're not principled. And this is what you get. You ended up with liberal light, and no one really in there fighting for people during any of this COVID stuff. The conservatives needed to be there as conservatives, and they needed to be just offer up some sober second thought in Parliament, not just through the Senate, but as a true opposition party, and they failed all the way down the line. So just getting rid of O'Toole, he's just a symptom. The cancer in that party is still present. And if they don't do something to cut that cancer out of the Conservative Party, they'll never win an election anyway. We might have Justin Trudeau reelected the next time around, in spite of the fact that he's done all of these horrific things to the Canadian people, continues to divide the country, and has been so abusive to the citizenry.
He has been that. So I think that's a pretty accurate analysis. Mr. Braun James put in the comments there, not even liberal light, or as they are labeled progressive, like they're red Tories, absolutely. It's kind of interesting to note
you
that
know what, Brent? They'll say and do anything just to
Yeah.
try and get elected. That's the problem. And when you elect people like that, you don't know what you're going to get. You just
Yeah.
don't know.
And we've seen that with his flip flops, right? So
We've
he
seen that in
flip-flopped.
Ontario with Doug Ford. People
Well,
thought they thought they elected a conservative, and he's no conservative.
And that's an even worse example because, like, you look at everybody who tried to talk about the truth in that. Like, he kicked like 5 people out of caucus.
That's right.
Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 4 or 5.
I'm not
like
sure.
that.
I too many. One's too many.
One too many. And
And a lot of
what
people are getting kicked out of their jobs because of these vaccine mandates that are not only unethical, they are illegal and unconstitutional. Eventually, I think that we will see this go through the court system, and it will become very clear that these measures are largely, almost maybe entirely, unconstitutional and unlawful.
And
Okay.
I'm so grateful for Brian Peckford's lawsuit because I think it's going to be the real lawsuit with real teeth, and I think it's going to make it to the Supreme Court. It'll yet to be seen. Brian Peckford didn't want to approach the mainstream media to make his announcement for his lawsuit. He went to Jordan Peterson's podcast to announce his lawsuit. You know a bit more about Brian Peckford than I do, Rick. If you could just explain lightly who he is.
Well, he is the last surviving author of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was approved by 9 of the provinces and the federal government back in, I believe it was 1981. I was just a kid at the time. I do remember all of that, though. I was focused on politics even back then at a young age. And man, I felt so much pride as a young boy and so much hope when that Charter of Rights and Freedoms was passed. And it was there to protect Canadians. It gave us our freedom. It gave us, it finished giving us our freedom. And Justin Trudeau has come along, and with the assistance of the premiers across this country, in just 2 years, they've taken that and they've shredded it. And they have not met the conditions necessary to suspend it, in my view. Regardless of that notwithstanding clause, they've not truly met the test. And he's been governing like a tyrant ever since. Charter of Rights and Freedoms is what gives people protection against forced inoculations, forced medical procedures. You have the right to life, liberty, and the security of your body. And a lot of Canadians have never read the Charter of Rights and Freedoms or the Constitution. They're not aware.
No, they're not. There's a huge problem with that in our country where a lot of education around this is
Well, Justin
very
Trudeau
poor.
and these politicians and these bureaucrats, they've said, you don't really have any rights. Bah! All gone. You're going
all privileges.
That's all privileges. You're going to do as we say. And you and I stood there and listened to our local member of parliament, a conservative, Dave Ett, that night when you and I met him at an election event. And what did he say? He said that riding on a plane, riding on a train, these are all privileges. And my blood started to boil because he clearly doesn't understand what the Charter is all about and what our rights are really all about. And he clearly didn't care. And yet, he's flip-flopping on this issue, has been all along, whether vaccines should be mandated. And he was clearly in favor of it that night. To the point where I asked him, I said, I was so upset and so saddened by what he was saying. I said, well, what about breathing, Dave? Is breathing a right or a privilege? And what did he say, Brendan?
He said, well, that's not listed in the charter.
Therefore, it's a privilege. No, we have the right to life, our life. And what he just said there was, again, you don't even have the right to life, which means, as far as he was concerned, and I don't even think he was thinking,
No.
because he probably doesn't understand, but he said, because of his words, it takes you to a very dark place. But at that moment, there was a lot of public support for vaccine mandates, all the measures, right? Because people were so scared.
Yeah.
The government was taking advantage of that, and he was riding that train. He was on that bandwagon.
Oh, he was. And you know what? I could pull up his Facebook right now. And there he is. He's saying, oh, I'm with the
truckers. I'm with the truckers. Yeah.
I'm with the truckers. Let's pull him up.
Yeah, right. It was a different story just a few months ago when we were in the middle of an election, and the public was still being scared out of their skin by the media over everything COVID. After 2 years of hammering on that, showing all kinds of horrific images on television to try and scare people into submission.
Here, look, I got it here. Let's show Mr. Big Shot himself, Dave Epp, MPP for Chatham-Kent-Leamington. And so it goes as follows. Ensuring that truckers and other essential workers can continue to carry out their jobs in safety has been a priority of mine since the beginning of the pandemic. In fact, it was one of the key topics in a number of discussions, such as this one with our regional MPs from 3 separate parties that occurred back in April of 2020. A lot has changed in almost 2 years since this meeting and the development of vaccines and rapid tests, but my support for essential workers is not. Trudeau must remove the vaccine mandate on our essential workers who have been safely carrying out their duties since the onset of the pandemic. Isn't that just enough to make you sick? It's like, this guy's a bloody chameleon.
He's contradicting himself even in this statement. You know, he was concerned about helping truckers and other essential workers continue to carry out their jobs in safety. Well, all along, he and all of his conservative colleagues were supporting these mandates, and they never did anything they've never done anything to stop the government from taking their big stick and trying to beat people into submission. They haven't done anything to protect people's jobs. When they didn't stand up and help those nurses or doctors or police officers or anybody else, or the bankers out there who are federally regulated, from being forced to take this inoculation vaccine, whatever you want to call it, or lose their jobs. You know, and we're not sitting here saying don't take the vaccine. We're not saying don't follow the science. What we're saying is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is important, and people should have a choice. It's a policy question. It's a question of ethics and morals. Ethics. That's what we're talking about.
Did you guys happen to see Brian Peckford's speech that he actually made?
Yes.
Yes, he did do one today.
There was another one today?
I don't know about another one. It was more, the one I seen was him talking about the Canadian Charter and Freedoms itself and outlining.
Yes.
That was, wow.
There are two videos circulating with Brian Peckford. Okay, he's a former premier, and he did an interview with Jordan Peterson, which is superb, and it lays out things in detail with regard to his lawsuit and the history behind the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And then he did make a public appearance in Ottawa. I think it was in Ottawa, where he was speaking to a crowd, and he is still sharp as a tack. And we are so fortunate to have him, because he just off the top of his head gives this speech and explains it all. So I really encourage people to seek that out. And videos.
Should we play that speech on here?
Yeah, if we can find it. Can one of you guys find the link, and I'll bring it up.
Okay. Chris, are you able to find that or?
Yeah,
It's
I got
important.
it.
It's
I got it.
important.
I
You
got
know,
it right here.
I'll say something else too. You know,
Okay.
I've seen, and I'm not faulting anyone, and I'm not criticizing anyone. Okay, but we've seen other groups promote actions
There you
among
go.
people to do things like serve papers to public officials, or we've heard people talk about things like, you know, common law, um, and mass, or what was the phrase that what's his name was using all the time, mass noncompliance,
Oh
and
yeah.
things like this. Okay,
We're not going to use his name,
no,
but yeah,
but
yeah.
the thing is, it's like a lot of these things, people go, oh yeah, that sounds right. But in reality, when you're handing a piece of paper, you know, serving papers to XYZ public official, um, really, that stuff just, it isn't real. It doesn't have any teeth, okay? And it's not even going to make its way to court. And I mean, I could get into details on it, but there's just been a lot of that stuff going on. And it's people searching for something. They're desperate. But this thing with Brian Peckford, no, this is real. This is something that can truly make a difference if it's successful in court. And I believe it will be, because I think it's very clear that what the federal government has been doing, what the provinces have been doing, even the municipalities, completely unconstitutional, and they have not met the standard. They've not met the test to suspend the Charter of Rights and Freedoms because of this pandemic.
And that's honestly one part of the message of the convoy. Like, that's an underlying message. It's kind of like implied, you know, and that's
and
when
really
they're not,
that's the message.
and they're not getting it. Oh, we have received it. And it's like, clearly you haven't, because you would recognize what we're recognizing.
You know, this is an important point. Even in that statement by Dave Epp, his statement there on his website, what we're even hearing from the Chambers of Commerce, the Canadian Trucking Alliance, all of these different, and the politicians, everything that they're talking about when it comes to the mandates, if they're going to cave at all, they're framing everything around the economy, supply chains. We're worried about the vaccine mandates and how it might affect staffing levels for trucking, and that might affect the supply chain. It might affect the economy. It could affect inflation.
Redirect.
And they talk like he's like, we have to lift the vaccine mandates on the truckers, but it's not because they care about the charter. They don't care about your rights. They're not basing what they're saying on any of those concerns, which are the concerns of the truckers and the Canadian people, which is our rights and freedoms. They're talking about the economy because they're just worried about keeping these big corporations and these big companies humming and making money. And they don't care about the workers and they don't care about the people. It's just, well, you know, if we do this, it might shut down the supply chain, and then this factory can stay open. And Joe, who's my buddy, the CEO, he ain't going to get it's going to be problems for him. And it's all about that. And then they're trying to talk to the public like this, but that's not what these truckers, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about our rights. That's what is at the core of this whole thing. The protest in Ottawa, the blockade in Alberta. That's what it's about. Rights, freedoms.
I couldn't agree more with what you said about how a lot of organizations have filed paper and stuff like that, but we haven't seen anything about it. There's no news. There's no news about it in conservative news circles. There's no news about it in mainstream news circles. There was an article, I think last month, and the article was detailing how we're going to start to see a lot of these employment lawsuits coming to light now that things are enough time has passed and enough time has gone for the filings of these things. But this is the real teeth. This is going to make it to the Supreme Court, and we're going to see some things working out really well with that.
There you go, Marielle. There's your feed. It's free. I don't think it's live, but it's very recent. It's just within, I think, the last half hour.
Brian Peckford's in the private chat there.
Okay, we'll bring him up in just a moment.
I did want to comment on one thing. So there's been a lot of people out there there's been a lot of people out there who are saying, well, the majority of the Canadian people voted for this, and that everybody in Ottawa is a bunch of thugs, and they're destroying democracy, and if you think this is democracy, then you're just a fascist. I think we need to deconstruct that a little bit.
Can we rewind this a little bit and let Carla speak here a bit? And also, this is a very recent video she just brought up, but she's got some comments here. And Chris, I think that there might be some breaking news going on. Can you just do a little search here and there and see if you can find it, if you can find anything going on with the convoy news in Ottawa and Alberta?
Yeah, take a look at one of the comments here.
And I sobbed with the biggest smile on my face. Tears running down my face. Thank God it wasn't negative 29. They would have frozen. Wow.
I need to step out for just a second, gentlemen. Just put me in the green room.
When I lost my job, I think I was about a month. I didn't want to get dressed. I didn't want to leave my couch. I just sat there. I didn't say very many things to anyone. I think my husband was quite worried about me.
She
I felt
lost
like
her
I'd
job.
lost all my friends. It was the hardest thing. When my parents died, that was tough, but I knew where they were going. So much uncertainty, not knowing, it was more than my job, right? I could see so much more happening in all of this. And it took me a long time to realize that everything was going to be okay. And you know what? This whole movement has redeemed it. We're all going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Listen, if somehow this all becomes a disaster and Justin Trudeau goes even more hardcore and we have to divide and become two segregated societies, I'm so glad I'm with my tribe. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's see what this is. Well, I guess I lied. I mean, I'm starting to think this probably is leading to a little fruitless area. Guys, if I could run, I would, but I can't run. Maybe that's my goal for next year. Maybe next year I can run. Doesn't look like a crowd or anything like that. I think the police just felt like driving their cars through. I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, here's some trucks for you. You've seen these trucks many times over. My friends just came back from the hotel to join me, and the police cars came, and I said, bye. I hope they can forgive me. I just keep taking off, but I think they know.
Carla is our eyes and ears down in Ottawa. She's on the streets down there. She's been sending us videos. She's going to join us live in a very short time and share her observations, comments about what has been happening in Ottawa.
I can't even see those police cars anymore. No.
This was about
Anyway,
half an
so we
hour
went
ago,
for a
or an
walk.
hour maybe.
I've been going to, I went a few times, to City Hall for the protests, and, there's, I don't know, a handful of people, maybe 10, and maybe 10, maybe 12. And as the weather got colder, a lot less, maybe 20 one time. And there was one time where it was pretty big. But anyway, what I admire is that same group of at least 10 people. Doesn't matter how cold it is. Doesn't matter. Every Wednesday, every Saturday in Sarnia. they're out there supporting this cause. They're out there protesting. Cars do drive by and honk horns, and I just commend them for that, because it's easy to build momentum in a group this big, in an event this big. But Sarnia had its movement, and I encourage anyone who's been watching these videos to get out there to City Hall. I think they've been meeting somewhere on Exmouth Street near the McDonald's as of late, on Wednesdays from 1 to 3 and Saturdays from 1 to 3. Get your signs, get out there, everyone. Start our own movement in Sarnia. Support these guys. They are the true freedom fighters. Rain, shine, snow, cold, they've been there. To all of you that do that every week, thank you. I commend you.
I'm not seeing anything breaking. Well,
They
if
look
you
like
like.
volunteers in that car.
Oh no, she's still a little bit more there.
So this is just, what's going on in the streets around Parliament Hill tonight.
I don't think there's anything going on. These
Yeah,
police are
she's just giving us some
casually
general
walking
footage.
the
She's
same
walking
way.
around in the area, and
I don't
this
know
is
why
what this is
cars
what's
came
going
down.
on down there.
I'll never know.
And police
See
just
that even
stood
the
there
police
doing their
officers
thing.
will smile. All it takes is for me to smile at them. Watch. I'm going to try this theory. Guys, make sure you smile today, tomorrow, and forever. Everywhere you go, put on the biggest smile that you have. They are contagious. Huh. Well, here's those cars. I feel like they just wanted to come to this intersection and park, I guess. Huh.
Yeah, well, they got to park somewhere.
I'm sure that wasn't very exciting, but you know what? Thanks for going for a walk with me.
You are welcome, Carla, and we'll check back in with her very shortly. She's going to be joining us live in short order. I think she's still down there at Parliament Hill. She's our eyes and ears. She's our person on the scene. She's been sending us video feeds, and she's going to give us a recap very shortly of what she has observed through the day today down on the street.
I just got an ETA from her. It should be within the next 30 minutes.
Awesome.
Or so.
And she is awesome. She is a nurse, I believe, and she lost her job over the vaccine mandates. And now she's down in Ottawa doing this. And man, what she just talked about there, losing her job, the uncertainty, the emotions that she has had to deal with, the uncertainty, like a lot of other people, it's heart-wrenching. And that is real stress.
I don't know how so many people can be so heartless in this country. Like there's been almost no sympathy from basically a lot of people who have been over empathetic for just about everything.
I think what it is it is a form of psychosis. They've they feel they have done everything that they thought they were supposed to do, which was the best thing to do, right? So they have this false sense of security, and it's hard for them to look at it and realize that it was a false sense of security. Like that's kind of difficult for some people to be able to tear themselves down and rebuild, right? Because it's like it's a principle they were taking on. They truly believe that they're doing the right thing because they've been conditioned to that point now.
This was earlier in the day, aerial footage from 4K guy. And you can still hear through the day the horns blaring, sending a message to the government. And these horns have literally been heard around the world. The protest now spreading to border crossings. We're seeing a standoff at the Alberta-Montana border. And tensions are high there, running very high. And we're hearing of convoys forming, and trucks will be heading to Queen's Park very shortly in Toronto. So we're going to see a demonstration unfold there as well to put pressure on the Ontario government and Premier Doug Ford to end the provincial mandates in Ontario. In Saskatchewan, the Premier has already announced that the mandates there will be coming to an end. We've seen Aaron O'Toole, the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, has been turfed, and big developments all the way around. And that is kind of what is happening today in a nutshell. And I guess the bottom line is these guys are not going home, even if the authorities come in and find some way to start moving trucks. There are more trucks ready to come in, as I said before. And as I said before, if they chop off the head of the snake anywhere, I think they're just going to get more snakes, because we're seeing convoys form across Canada. And I think these truckers are ready to head to other strategic locations like border points.
Interesting that you mentioned that too. I've got a clip here I can share. If you want to throw it up, it is a tow truck driver company actually refusing to assist.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
Ooh,
I'll
that'll
find
be really
that.
good.
Bring it up.
Got her put it in the private chat there for you.
So I am actually pretty excited to hear about what is going to ensue in Toronto, because with what Brian had told us there, I think that's going to also be a lot bigger than anybody thought. And based off of Doug Ford's response this past Monday, I think he's going to be in for a hell of a surprise.
Here's our clip.
I've been contacted. My phone's been exploding in regards to the towing and recovery industry going down to the U.S.-Canadian border at Coots and being asked to remove the truckers and vehicles that are blocking the border due to the Freedom Rally. So I best just get on here and hopefully somebody listens.
Well, we're having some technical difficulties with Rick Walker's connection here.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of delay on my end too.
Yeah, and
If
Rick
they
Walker's
continue asking,
camera.
due to COVID,
Oh, there it goes. Hey, Rick.
we're unavailable to go. This is what Justin Trudeau said. To all of us.
Your connection is very
Now,
breaking
there are
up. Can we
several companies down
replay
at
the video?
border.
Yes, we can. Do you want me to recue that?
Recue that. It's just it broke up and your camera even froze and everything all at the same time. Just replay it.
Yeah, you want maybe just wait for a moment and let this internet connection solidify, and I'll recue it, and hopefully it remains stable.
Okay, perfect.
I think maybe we're ready now. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Once again, I've been contacted. My phone's been exploding in regards to the towing and recovery industry going down to the U.S.-Canadian border at Coots and being asked to remove the truckers and vehicles that are blocking the border due to the Freedom Rally. So my phone's been exploding. So I thought I best just get on here and hopefully somebody listens to what I'm going to say. I think this is what we need to say. Due to COVID, we have no available trucks. Due to COVID, we have no available personnel to help with your request. If they continue asking, due to COVID, we are unavailable to go. This is what Justin Trudeau said to all of us. Now, there are several companies down at the border out of Calgary, which doesn't look so good. And they have been requested, and there's some videos out there that are showing them being ready and being protected. Look, if you're having to be protected by the police or some other law enforcement agency, do you not think it's the wrong thing to do? Now, maybe if it's a criminal investigation or something of that nature, or something when you're in your own jurisdiction, you might then need protection. But we all know what's going down at the border. So I've had people call all the way from the US, Canada, East, West Coast about what's going on at the border. The only thing you should say if you're contacted by law enforcement or by the entities that want these vehicles removed is, due to COVID, we have nobody available. Now, like I've said, hopefully the video is still running. If there are cattle, livestock, pigs, whatever, in the threat of dying, then I would say we need to move and go and help that unit. If it is somebody broke down and freezing to death in the cold weather at the border, then that's a different story. But if you're being asked to move vehicles from the caravan of the Freedom Rally, I don't recommend that. This is a critical moment for everybody. It is critical that we stand strong. You do not need your employees being exposed to these types of incidents down there, having to be protected while doing towing. It will do you no good. It will do you no good after the fact when all the dust settles and these companies that have been asked or requested to go down there and remove these trucks, how they're going to get future business. The motoring public, cars, trucks, tractor trailers, farmers, anybody. The towing and recovery industry relies on us. We rely on them. Do not make a critical mistake at this critical time. And I'm saying this is because of so many people being upset with what they see going on at the border right now. I don't know if the media has reported any of this, but my view is my view. Our company is our company view. I would not take people out of this area to go down there, because then our area would have less resources for when things happen. So I'm sorry in regards to the live feed thing. Hopefully there's still volume. It is critical at this time that we continue making sure we make the right decisions. And for that, once again, the only statement that should be made without somebody bullying you is, due to COVID, we have nobody available to respond. That does not mean in our area. I'll say it again. Due to COVID, we have nobody available to respond to the border. No one. And if the agencies are trying to muscle you, just sit back and smile a bit, because you don't need to go there. What you need to do is mind your own business. Stay in your backyard. Because when all the dust is over, you won't be going to the border anyway. I don't know much about this, but it keeps saying bring them on camera. I don't know if people are asking to be brought on this camera or what. As my good friend Diane Asler says, stay in your lane. Absolutely. This is not the time. But I just can't imagine why we would think that the industry as a whole should go down there and start moving and removing these people. However you feel, I don't recommend getting involved down there. I don't think it's going to go good. But you're going to make those choices. I just wanted to make sure I brought some people up to date on what's going on down there. Whatever view you have, be careful. Be careful. Keep it tight. God bless. And stay safe. The employees and the personnel need to be number one. And the jurisdiction that you look after, you need to look after that jurisdiction. That's your number one commitment. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'm sorry that it took 3 or 4 of these things to get up with the video with the voice, but that's where we're at. So take care. Good luck out there.
Well, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah. You guys want to see some more powerful patriotic videage?
Absolutely.
Might as well pull Brian Peckford up. Hear his little charter speech.
Yeah, I think that we have some developments in Alberta on the border as well. Maybe I think there is something going on down there. Let's see if we can reach out or find something.
Already looked. Got nothing.
I'll look.
Okay. Yeah, everything is as it was. That they have one lane open both ways, and that they are working things out currently with some of the MPPs in Alberta. So it's going to be a little bit of time before we see what the result of that is. Especially as most politicians only work business hours. So I think we'll see an update on that tomorrow, kind of thing. But I think Brian Peckford's message and just how powerful it is, the idea that one of the original contributors to Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms, I think that needs to be shared. I think as many people need to know about it. It's very important, and it's important to Canada.
Yeah, just one moment. I've got it here.
Beautiful.
In 1981, we brought in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which wasn't passed by the Prime Minister.
Volume, Rick?
Yep.
9 provinces and the Prime Minister. It's a national.
That's why in 1981 we brought in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which wasn't passed by the Prime Minister. It was passed by 9 provinces and the Prime Minister. It's a national document that applies to everyone here today and everyone all over Canada. So understand, except for the creation of the country in 1867, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is by far the most important document in the history of our country since we were a country. It is the most important one because it applies to you and me equally. Yes. Every individual on this planet is unique.
This is Brian Peckford, former Premier of Newfoundland. He served from 1979 to 1989 and is the last surviving author of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and he is suing the federal government for violating the charter. And this is a speech that he gave, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, I think yesterday in Ottawa.
Like every snowflake is unique, every individual is unique. And therefore, when you get a document which says that I have these freedoms and I have these rights, that means every single one of us, from Defino to Iqaluit to Bonavista to the Niagara Peninsula, every Canadian is equal and has equal rights before the law. Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, what does it say? It says you have freedom of expression, you have freedom of conscience, you have freedom of religion, you have freedom of expression, and you have freedom of the press. What else does it say? It says you have freedom to associate. You have freedom to assemble. And in Section 6 it says, you have the right to travel anywhere in this nation, anytime. And you even have the freedom to leave this country if you so want. But most importantly, for a lot of people who now see this, it also says in Section 6, you have the right to pursue a livelihood anywhere in this country. You have the right to pursue a livelihood anywhere in this country, and they are taking the jobs away, inside the government and outside the government, and threatening others of their jobs. And then number 7 says, Section 7 says, you have the right, listen to this one, to life, liberty, as Dr. Nagassi talked about, and Dr. Hoff talked about. And you also have the right to your security of the person. Nobody is allowed to touch you unless you agree. And then Section 15 says, to top it all off, we weren't satisfied with those 3. We topped it off by saying every person in Canada is equal before the law. You're just as equal as Justin Trudeau. You're just as equal as John Horgan. You're just as equal as Adrian Dix. And by damn, you're really just as equal as Bonnie Henry. You don't have to take a back seat to anybody. No. You have your rights and your freedoms as an individual. This business of group rights and this business of lobby group rights and all the rest of it completely disguises your rights as an individual. And we got to be very careful going forward that we don't lose these rights to these groups, that they take over and dominate the government of British Columbia or the government of any province. You must remain steadfast that as an individual, you come first. The groups come second that you form with. And that's very important for any democracy anywhere in the world. When the individual gets submerged by a group or something else, that's the beginning of the decline of our democracy. Yeah. So those 4 sections of the Constitution and of the Charter of Rights are absolutely sacrosanct, okay? And then we've got people out there who are trying to say to me and to others I don't know if they think we don't know the difference. That somehow Section 1 of the Constitution, I know it's cool, I know it's getting evening, but you got to listen to this. Somehow that Section 1 forgives the government. And that they can go ahead and override those other 4 sections I just mentioned. I got news for them. There are 4 tests that have to be met. Well, first of all, that Section 1 doesn't even apply to our circumstance, because when we wrote that section, the whole idea was this, that the only way you could override these sacrosanct rights and freedoms of individuals, which if there was a dire situation in the country like war or insurrection, a virus from which 99% recover, is no war and no insurrection. And then if you tried to, even if you tried to make it, if you tried to squeeze it to apply, if you tried to bend it to make it try to apply to this circumstance, what did you have to do? You had to do 4 things. Number 1, justify? No, that wasn't heavy enough. Demonstrably justify what you're doing. Okay? Okay, is that all? No. You have to demonstrably justify that by law. Yes. That meant a new law, not the existing laws that they're using. New circumstance means new law. Where's the new law? They never went to the parliament. They never went to the provincial assemblies to get a new law. They tried to use the existing law. They skirted around the Charter of Rights and Freedoms by law. Number 3, using reasonable limits. And number 4, you had to do all of those other 3, but remember, it had to be done in a way that was consistent with a free and democratic society. What they're doing is not consistent with any free or democratic society. It's more consistent with a totalitarian society. So don't be fooled by those who try to tell you that somehow you can skirt around the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I was there, I helped write the damn thing, and they're wrong, and we're right. We didn't wait from 1867 to 1981 to now 2021 to see all of our rights suddenly wiped out for callous and powerful reasons by those who forget from whence they came. Ours is a country worth fighting for. Listen to me, I was 7 years old before I became a Canadian. I wasn't born a Canadian, but I can tell you right now, I'm a Canadian now, and I want to defend what we've had and what we know we can continue to have in this country.
Newfoundland would like to join the party.
Take a back seat to all those who are trying to somehow excuse what happened. We're not going to take a back seat to these people. We're going to stand beside them or above them and tell them that we want a prosperous, secure, and free Canada for the future, for our children and from our grandchildren, and you have no right to try to steal that away from us. From Tofino to Iqaluit to Bonavista to Niagara Peninsula, we must become united as Canadians, as free Canadians, understanding our history, understanding the history of our planet, and put that all in context for tomorrow so that we can be a proud, free country in the northern part of North America. We're not going away, Mr. Horgan. We're not going away, Mr. Trudeau. We're going to stand and be counted and to make sure that we restore the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which everybody fought so hard to get. Stay around. Thank you for coming.
Brian Peckford, former Premier of Newfoundland, the last surviving author of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
I'm absolutely inspired by his speech and how together he still is. Like, he is sharp as a whip. I can't believe that this is probably, once again, the sharpest tool we have in our toolkit at this point, I would say.
Certainly one of the most important. What he is doing by suing the federal government, I think, it's a cornerstone of whatever is going to come that might save our country, because we are on the edge of losing it.
And the worst part is we've been warning about this for the last however many years. You're going, oh, you guys keep tiptoeing towards it. And like, no, it's going to be fine. You're like, but we're going to telling you, it goes the wrong way. It's going to be too late by that point. You know, and it goes from a tiptoe to a full-on gallop.
Well, many of us saw it coming 2 years ago and even before. And they dismissed all of this as conspiracy theory. Ooh, vaccine passports? That would never happen. That's just a conspiracy theory. Don't listen to those crazy people. Well,
oh, man, I
here
forgot
we
my
are.
tinfoil hat, guys.
Here we are. Here we are, folks. And what are those vaccine passports? Tracking devices, tracking strategies, tracking technology. Why does it matter? Because it's the foundation of a social credit score system, the same as they have in place in China. If you behave, you get certain privileges, like the privilege to get on a plane, get on a train, go to a restaurant, breathe, live, work.
Exist.
Breathe.
Well,
I laugh, but you're not wrong.
No.
that's what he said, right? Not Mr. Beckford, but one of our members of parliament. So that's where we are at. If you don't behave, you don't get to work. You don't get to go to a restaurant. You don't get to go to the gym. There are a lot of things you don't get to do. And in fact, it looks to me like this has gone to such a dark place with such divisive rhetoric and hate spewing from our prime minister's mouth, where he's demonizing and scapegoating the unvaccinated. It gets to a point where you're not far away from listening to the people who have been saying, we need to round them all up and put them in a camp.
Interesting that you mentioned hate, because I do remember Brennan and I had done an episode about half a year ago now, and we actually brought up hate speech and how vague the term hate speech is. So as you know, as we all know, Canada's not free because our speech is compelled. We have things called hate speech laws, where essentially words are violence, and they can hurt people. So basically, we have punishments and fines and for these things for basically hurting people's feelings. So this is really interesting to think about, because if you technically, what we just said, Justin Trudeau is the one who's now committing a hate crime, spewing hate. So could we all not charge him for a hate crime at that point? It's the same thing.
In fact, I know that there are people who are getting a lawsuit together to sue him for exactly that.
Good, because
using his own hate speech legislation.
Well, I bet you in turn of that, they're going to find a real good, or they're going to define hate speech without the vagueness that it has right now pretty quick, I'm sure. Otherwise, it leaves a lot of opportunities open for that lawsuit.
Those hate speech laws were drafted not to combat hate speech. That legislation was drawn up so that the government could use it to target their political opponents.
Essentially.
That's exactly what that is.
I just got word from Carla coming on.
Mm-hmm.
She is coming on now.
Fantastic.
I did want to disclose breaking news before she comes on. So the Freedom Convoy 2022 GoFundMe page is now officially shut down. So I have screen share.
Is it shut down or under review?
No, it is. Look, you can't. Nothing to click. Nothing to see. It's shut down, and you could refresh the page all you want.
Oh, it's inactive. It's not completely shut. Like, it's under review. So I would say it's more technically frozen.
Yes, they did freeze it, but they lied about freezing it before. There was a fake news thing that they'd spewed to get people to stop sending in donations.
Now they are at 10 million now, nearing 11, or sorry, 10.1.
Yeah.
So it's such a short amount of time, right? And imagine, regardless of the subject matter, there is probably checks and balances within a company. If you were to get a certain amount of money within a certain amount of time that quickly, they're going to go, okay, let's.
Well, you know what? You know what? I think we better be careful what we say. We don't want to be spreading misinformation, rumors.
Oh, this is
anything.
all just my opinion, and that's all.
Yeah, and there's no point in us offering up opinions on something like procedures or policies of GoFundMe when we just don't know. If you want to look that stuff up, I'm sure it's available in their policies and procedures, probably right on their website. Regardless, there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes we just don't know. We know there is. So for us to sit here and speculate is not really helpful. We need to stick with facts and make it clear when we're expressing our opinions. But in this case, I think this is a delicate matter, and we should be very careful about what we say.
Well, I think it is worth noting, though, that it is frozen right now. Because I remember the first time they said it was frozen, I checked the website, and it didn't look like this. This is what the account looks like frozen. Like,
I do know, because I saw just a short time ago, I did see this. We haven't had a chance to mention it until now, but there is a way for people to continue to donate. Have you seen that information, Brendan?
I have not seen that information.
Okay, I'll see if I can find that and bring it up for folks.
I got this info off of CBC, but I didn't want to pay the CBC any favors by bringing up their website, so I just thought bringing up the GoFundMe would be the best idea.
Yeah, I'll find the information here. I know that there is still a way for people to donate, but not through GoFundMe. Yeah, donations through GoFundMe have been paused. You can still donate via e-transfer, and the email address for that is tbofconvoy2022@protonmail.com. I'll see if I can make up a banner or something so that people can have that information.
Just can you clarify the source of that?
Yeah, that's from John Nisbet.
Okay.
Now, that being said, I'm not recommending people send money to that email address for e-transfer. I'm just saying that's the information that we have.
Yes.
So before you send money to anybody, you better check it out and make sure it's going to the people and to the cause that you think it needs to go to. But that is the email that's also coming from the Freedom Convoy 2022 Facebook page, I believe.
And my hat's off kind of to GoFundMe, because in the CBC article, they have about an entire paragraph where they're complaining that GoFundMe isn't answering their questions. So I wouldn't answer CBC's questions either anyway. So... And also, it's kind of none of their business.
And the people involved with that fundraiser have said, and this is a quote from their Facebook page, "We are waiting for lawyers and accountants to address. This is a small grassroots movement, and it's beyond our knowledge or power to comment further." And that's as much as we really know at this point. So it is under review, and again, we're going to have to see what happens. But, the opponents to this, of course, they're going to go after the money. That's how wars are fought today. That's one of the tools they use. seize the money so that their political opponents can't move.
And CBC has been doing that since day one by making conspiracy theory allegations that Russia is fueling this.
Yes. And there's Carla.
Hey guys, taking
Hey.
a drink when I'm coming on. Thought I was backstage still. How was your day?
Pretty
Good.
awesome here. Yeah. It was raining and wet here today, and it's turned to snow. And that's what we're looking at now, right? Is some
Yeah.
snow.
I heard it was dumping like the snow. Hey,
In Sarnia, it is.
yeah,
for
you
sure.
guys. Oh, you guys. Where are you? Where are you guys at? Chatham?
We're spread out all over the province. Yeah. But you're up there in Ottawa.
Yeah, they were supposed to get 10 centimeters. Nothing yet. Anyway, they said we still could get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the mood like there today?
You know what, guys? It's the same mood. You know, they're calling it the new word. I mean, it's still Convoy 2022, right? But the key word now is the catchword is movement, and it is a movement. Like, I honestly just don't have the words to describe the amount of, again, unity. But today, it was about love. I can't count how many times I was hugged by strangers today. I had a really moving moment. Of course, I've been doing lives the whole time I've been there. And so they have like a main stage where the speakers will come out and speak. And then they have like little dance parties, you know. And so they play lots of Bob Marley, things like that. And just feeling that vibe, you know, vibing to Bob Marley with everybody. And the hugs and just the different people, like just people from all walks of life, all kinds of culture, so much culture sitting out there. But they say I was videotaping and I was about to stop, and then I just kind of honed in on this little group of 4 people that decided to hug one another. And so they were hugging one another and for quite a while. So I just, you know, panned my camera on that. And then the next thing I know, they begin to hold hands and We Are the World comes on. They had no idea it was coming on, We Are the World. And so that comes on, and then more people joined in and more people joined in. And we had this massive circle of people. I don't even know how many that were just, you know, one after the other were joining in. And there's people in the center, you know, waving flags and smiling. And before I know it, I find myself in the center of this circle, sobbing as I'm panning the people. Like, it was the most incredible moment, because, you know, when I think about it, just what this movement is, and truly it is a movement. You know, we started with Convoy 2022, you know, bringing truckers to Ottawa, you know, because we were going to stand up to Justin Trudeau, and like, bam, one by one, it's like it's shooting across the world, right? There are convoys in many countries, cities, major cities all throughout Canada. This thing is huge. And I wish the media would really show how big it is, but also how amazing it is. Like, I don't think it's like being on some kind of a crazy high. I don't think I've ever felt the way that I feel when I'm in that group and everyone's talking about it.
It's positivity overload.
Yeah. Like, so I personally, I had a fantastic day.
That's
Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
Oh, you saw the Tin Men. Yeah. Or the Tin Hat guys. They were amazing, right? We're walking down the street and I see these 2 guys and I'm like, oh, there's our tribe. Those are our people. And so we stopped and talked to them. I've got my husband bringing me an external mic for my phone, because like I'm literally using an iPhone 11. That's what I'm using. It's like nothing, right? It might not even be as new as an 11. I don't know what it is. I'm not technologically, like, I'm very challenged in that way. But yeah, that guy was awesome.
That's hilarious. There's the tinfoil hat guys. That's our people.
That's exactly what I said. That's our people, man. You're my tribe. Like, look at them, you know, because that's what have we been called for? I mean, it's been years, you know, we've been predicting these things, and, you know, these conspiracy theories have been floating around and we're all buying into them. And lo and behold, they're all happening. So this guy's stance was, you know what? We decided that perhaps if we put these tinfoil hats on, maybe Justin Trudeau would listen to us, since that's how he sees us. God, these guys were
That's
amazing.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
One guy was from, I think, Hamilton, and the other guy came from a long way, I believe Saskatchewan. So I wasn't able to catch the connection. Like, did you meet up here? You know, did you know one another previous, or did you meet up? Like, it's just so hard to know how people are connected because people are connecting here in Ottawa.
That's
You
so,
know?
that's even the tinfoil hats. It feels so Canadian.
Right? And it was funny. I saw one other person today, and I don't know if it was just that these guys are starting a trend, but we saw them. Well, we were this afternoon, early afternoon, just walking. We were coming back from our hotel room, and I was like, "Stop it!" And I had to talk to them.
Well,
They were
actually,
great.
actually, Justin Trudeau started this trend. So on Monday, when he delivered his speech, his announcement about how he thinks of all of us, he had used words like tinfoil hat conspiracies, and so this is
There it
he
is.
started.
So these men said they were answering to him, saying, "You know what? Perhaps he'll listen to us since this is how he sees us. We thought we'd dress the part," kind of thing. Yeah, that's probably that's probably like my third favorite clip of today.
That's hilarious. Still lots of trucks down there.
Yep, still lots of trucks. And I don't know if I mentioned to you guys or if I've updated you on that. Like, the farmers have arrived too, right? Like, down near the Rideau Mall, there is a side street, and there's, I don't know, about 10 tractors there. So the farmers are here too. And let's keep in mind, guys, like, let's not forget, I was speaking with a trucker this morning. My one friend and I, we wake up early. And so we decided we were going to take a walk at, like, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning. You know, we thought we'd just kind of go and see what's up there, assuming no one's going to be awake, right? No one's going to be there, but truckers tend to wake up early. So we were lucky enough to talk to a couple of truckers. They wouldn't let me videotape them. I think they're just over being videotaped, you know. They're going and they're speaking in the speeches. People have been, you know, videotaping them for days on days. But they were talking about how, I have so many things to tell you. Oh, about I was asking them about the trucks, and they said, yeah, there's literally hundreds of trucks outside of the city. So in like, you know, away from the downtown area. So, and they're not going anywhere. Like, these guys said it's gonna take, well, there's just nothing that can take them away from this. So yeah, they're pretty positive about it. I did get a little scoop from them. And now, keeping in mind, this is third-hand information. There were some construction workers that walked by while I was talking to them, and I wanted to speak with these construction workers just to find out what they were doing, right? These guys, because they were with these wheelbarrow type things, and they had some tools and things in it. And I asked them what they did. They said they're construction workers, and I wanted to, of course, interview them. And they said, "Oh no, we're working," and they live in Ottawa. They work for the city. And they said, you know, because of their job, blah, blah, blah. So they wouldn't tell me really what they were working on. They wouldn't say anything. And I went back to the truckers, and they said, well, we were talking to some construction workers, and they were talking about the construction that's happening right at the main Parliament building on Parliament Hill. I think you guys have seen that. They've got it like fenced off. And yep. I think they've been working on it for almost a year. Yes. And nobody really knows what this is for. These truckers found out that they're building a bunker. Da-da-ding. A bunker.
Wow.
For what? Why does he need a bunker?
Well, I don't know, but I know we've been poking the bear on the Russia front. I don't know how true that is or how not true that is. So, I mean, we did receive word, though. We were talking to a trucker who was there on the weekend. He's reporting that it looks like they're going to do some divide and conquer. It looks like a bunch of trucks are heading to Toronto. They're going to go to provincial parliament at Queen's Park, and it looks like we're taking the party to Doug Ford.
Well, and this is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
They might be able to keep these trucks outside of Ottawa. They might be able to, you know, the truckers are being very respectful to the police. That continues on. But, you know, the thing is, so I think that I feel like there's like almost like a little chess game going on, right? So the government thinks, oh, the truckers are being respectful. We're going to be able to end this, but they aren't. And yes, they might not get all of their trucks into Ottawa. That may never happen. However, they also have a strategy, and they're going to go to Toronto. This thing is spreading like fire, like a forest fire in Alberta. It's crazy. And then there's the whole deal in Alberta.
Oh, So yeah, and we've been following developments with that. It looks like they're playing ball with the government right now, but how long that is going to last, we're not sure. We did watch a video this evening of a tow truck operator who is telling the RCMP that they are not available to assist with towing the trucks due to COVID.
Right. So there's been rumors. I get my Facebook Messenger is blowing up with, I keep hearing rumors that tow trucks are coming in, that they're going to start towing these trucks. Okay, first of all, I mean, clearly you guys have been seeing footage from what's going on in Ottawa. I don't see how a tow truck could
It's all good. You know what? He's local and he came here.
Audio, Rick.
I was going to try and go live with that YouTube.
That thing when you hear your own voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but they're not going to get a tow truck in the city. There's just no way.
Are you saying that it's too gridlocked in there for them to do that?
And what's happening is there's actually tow trucks there, and rumor around the convoy, like throughout the convoy, is that those tow trucks are there standing in solidarity with them. So I don't know, who do you want to believe, mainstream media or the people that are there, right?
I've heard the rumor as well. I just don't want to. I've went as far as to try and call some tow trucking companies in Ottawa today to see about getting a statement, but I was not able to reach anybody. So maybe somebody might call me back tomorrow, and we might get some word out on that. So I think that would be an interesting development if the towing truck companies in Ottawa are going to say no, we're not dealing with this mess.
Right. Something very cool that I want to tell you. So there's that whole scandal with the food bank, right? Here in Ottawa, where they're saying that, the protesters went and stole a bunch of food. It was the workers from the food bank reported it to, I don't know if it was media or I believe it was to the media. And so some of the organizers, wanted to address this situation. Oh, this is that video. Like, I couldn't even keep it together. Like, just being in that moment.
In just a moment, Rick, she was about to tell us something really important.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. So anyway, what happened was some organizers went and they wanted to address the situation. Well, the food, there is such an overabundance of donated food. They're giving away food literally everywhere on this route. Like, the homeless are being very well fed. And so they took a ton of food. She didn't say the exact amount, but she said, we just dumped food on food into that food bank. So, and they were looking at them like, well, what are we going to do with all this food? And she said, I don't know. Does that help the problem? Maybe, so basically what they were doing is saying, you know what, you want to lie about us? We're just going to bless you. This is the vibe that's there, rather than going and confronting them, they just blessed them. I can't get enough of that. I also spoke with a homeless guy today, and I said, asking him about, what it's like to be downtown with everyone there. How are they being treated? What are they feeling like with this? And they obviously love having all the people. They said that the people are being generous. They're eating more food than they can actually eat. People are giving them things. They're giving them money. So, it's pretty good to be a homeless guy in Ottawa right now.
Great Canadians.
Right. Canadians being Canadians. Kind.
Yep. Yes.
Like, look at this. Look at how this thing is growing.
And
I just wish that I was better at videotaping, but man, I just wanted to capture that moment. It was unbelievable.
Boy, there's sure a stark contrast between what we're seeing here and what we're being told in the by the big media companies.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm fortunate that I'm out there on the street during the day, so I'm just catching small little clips. I'm sure you saw my little excited clip then about how O'Toole is out the door. Therefore, I just need his address now to mail him those flip-flops. And that's his going away present. Or what did we talk about last night? His retirement present.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited about that, but also maybe a little bit nervous at the same time because, You know, we don't know who's going to be the interim. We don't know what that's going to be like later. We don't know if this is a new political ploy, you know, with the election, like, you know, for the Conservative Party to keep the faith in the Conservative Party. Conservative Party on the whole really hasn't stood up the way that we all expected our opposition to, right?
No, that's a good point. I don't think anybody's expected that it is possible whoever they get in there next, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Right.
Hell of a lot worse.
We just don't know. And that's, again, you know, it's just this constant fear of the unknown of what, you know, because we have to remember they are always strategizing.
But look at these people, and you got to believe that folks are just not going to let this country slip away.
No. Got a message from someone today saying, "Oh, take care of yourself." They're sending in we heard they're sending in the military, you know,
to crack down on this.
Yeah.
Give me a freaking break.
To crack down on this, to take away the protesters, and that they're sending in the RCMP to take away the truckers. And my response to that simply was, you know what? Bring the military, bring the RCMP, let them see this vibe. They will be forever changed.
It'll be
they'll be able
a true
to do their
litmus
job.
test.
That was said by the Ottawa police chief today. He's saying that this is not an Ottawa police problem. This is a federal problem. Basically, there's a lot of pushing off blame to the federal government, and he did suggest that the military may be needed to take care of this. But I think that they may ultimately say no too. So the government doesn't know what to do.
Can you imagine being a soldier and being told to go down and deal with this? Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Go and take these people away.
Yeah.
These terrorists.
Oh my God.
Racists. Look at, and are you seeing it? This is every culture in one big love melting pot. Like, I don't think I've ever been this mushy in my life, to be honest.
And it makes why is our government doing this? Why? Look at this. This is what they're opposed to. Why?
These are the people, you know, and you know what? If this is truly a fringe minority on Canada, shame on you, Justin Trudeau, for creating the other group. Shame on you. But I choose to stay in the positive. And then today in my videos, I was thanking Justin Trudeau. Thank you, because you tried to divide us, and look at what you gave us. Thank you. Look at this. Like,
you know, this is not a mostly peaceful protest. This is a completely peaceful protest.
It's a love fest.
It is. Yep.
Of the, you know, of the PG kind.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It just is, like, it's so moving. I have never been so moved in my entire life. I have never felt so healed. You know, we talk about the mental health challenges that we've had throughout this pandemic. Anyone who is struggling mentally with mental health issues, with depression, with suicidal thoughts, they need to be here, and they need to be here. So if you know someone that, you know, is struggling in that way, find a way anyway, get them here, because they will be forever changed. That's how I see it.
There has been. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
So that the word here has got to be hope.
Hope is huge.
Actually, everybody here, I feel really invigorated with my conversation with Brian this evening, and with you, and seeing how we have the same consistency here. I'm fired up again. Like,
look at this guy. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying.
So it's just like I'm right back there in that moment again, and it was just.
You know, I wondered, would this thing last beyond the weekend? Would people go home after, say, Monday or Tuesday? But we're into Wednesday, and this is what we have on the streets of Ottawa. This rally festival, whatever protest, whatever you want to call it, it has depth, and it is spreading. It is spreading.
Yeah, like people have said things like I am forever changed. And I can totally gel with that because I too am forever changed. It is contagious. And you know the old phrase where if you just smile at someone, smiles are contagious. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a domino effect of people smiling, a domino effect of people hugging. People hug you and they say, I love you. And my phrase is, I love you more. Like that's just how you feel.
Are they getting fuel into the trucks to keep?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I talked to the truckers and I did see some, the jerry cans are going around and they're circling throughout the day and throughout the night. But one of the truckers said that they think that they may be able to use those emergency lanes to get bigger way, a way to bring more fuel. I don't know if he didn't really say a transport. He did say some kind of I missed it because they give me so much information all day long, but they're going to be doing it in a more efficient way where they can bring larger amounts of fuel because it isn't really that effective. The jerry cans, right? Like it's just a lot of work.
And has there been any attempt on the part of the authorities to prevent that from happening?
No, nobody's done anything like that. Like the police are not trying to stop this thing. All their only agenda from every police officer that I've spoken to, and when the truckers have spoken to the police officer, they tell me that the tone of the police officers are just there. They do feel a little apprehensive that there are going to be plants there. They're kind of waiting for that moment, right? For something that they would have to diffuse. No one has been injured at all during this protest. There's been 0 injuries. That was announced today in the speeches.
There were some arrests, though, I heard. Do you know anything about that?
They didn't mention the arrests. I can see what I can find out about that, but
I don't have details.
No, I have no details on that. I've been getting a lot of messages about people who are coming this weekend, and they're saying like, I can't find a hotel. The whole city's booked out. So it wasn't like that. Like I literally booked my hotel to come up with the convoy. I booked it the day before I left for last Thursday. And so now here we are at, what is today, Wednesday? So on Wednesday for Friday, they're scrambling. They can't find a hotel anywhere within the downtown core. They've been booked out for like a week almost. So pretty much everyone who was here last weekend is trying to come back, and then they're bringing their friends. This is what we saw last weekend is just a glimpse of what is just a small amount of what we're going to see this weekend.
Pretty cool.
Wow.
It's going to be huge this weekend. People are still wanting to donate. What can I bring them? Find out from the truckers, what can I bring them? So I interviewed several truckers, and that was one of the questions that I asked. And every single trucker said the same thing. Every need we have is being met, meaning fuel, any hygiene products, extra layers of clothing. I mean, I think they prepared for that. Food. They said they have more food than they know what to do with. So that's why they're giving it away. What every single trucker said the same thing. The best way that you can support us is to show up and be here. They want numbers.
Do you think they have an appreciation for what they're really what they're part of, the history that's being made here?
You mean the people that want to come?
Well, the people that want to come, the people that are here, that are there.
Oh,
yeah.
I can tell you everyone that's here is pretty much are exactly feeling what I'm feeling. Like they can't believe that they're so blessed and so lucky to be a part of this right here. They aren't leaving. People who were planning on coming up just for 1 or 2 days haven't left. I was only coming for the weekend, and here I am Wednesday. Like I don't know when I'll be able to leave. Some of the truckers were going to come and stay just the weekend or maybe a week, and then going to trade off with another trucker, to watch over their truck and, do kind of their time. And this one trucker I talked to today, he said, I'm not leaving. There's no way I'm leaving this. I am not leaving this until it's done because I need to be here every day. I want to be in this environment and I really want to be a part of this. So like people, it's like an addiction. Truly.
It does feel like there was some momentum, some movement
some progress made today in a way. We've seen Saskatchewan announce that they're getting rid of their mandates. We've seen O'Toole removed. It just feels like there's stuff happening, right?
It does. It feels like something's on the horizon, and
Yeah.
I think that's part of the excitement. I have something kind of cute to share too, and I taped this yesterday, and I don't know if I told you guys about the little boy that gave a little speech.
No.
Okay,
no.
so this cute little boy, he came on, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 years old. He came on and he was talking about, what it's like to have to be in school and wear masks and things like that. Because obviously most parents, like that's really huge for them. Like he's talking about he has to wear a mask at recess. He has to wear a mask during his lunch, just move the mask down to take a bite of his food, put it back up. How they're doing, wearing masks while they're doing phys ed, like gym class. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And he was talking about how that affects him. So he finishes his speech, and then he was the cutest little boy with all this confidence. He said, Justin Trudeau, I have a proposition for you. He says, no, a competition for you. He says, I want you, if you can name every single country in the world without any help and off by heart, then you can have your way. But if you can't, I drop all the mandates. You have 24 hours, Justin Trudeau. Boom. This kid was from Alberta. And do you remember when Justin Trudeau was naming the provinces and he missed Alberta?
Yes. Okay, yes.
See the irony in that?
Well, and especially because, Justin Trudeau and his daddy have always been fuck the West, we'll win the rest was his slogan, and that's also been Justin's slogan too. So unfortunate for Alberta and stuff like that, because we have a big opportunity with Alberta, including the resources that are in Alberta, to make Canada like basically one of the best countries in the world. Like
we could be a wealthy country.
We could be. We could be way better off now than we actually are, I would say.
I would agree with that. I mean, our budget, as soon as our budget figures out how to balance itself, we would do really well.
Well,
I think maybe it already can.
I think that's what he's also hoping about everything in Ottawa. I think he's hoping that the protest will clear itself. The truckers will clear itself. It'll all go on its own.
Yeah. Just one second.
They're saying, don't worry about it. It's just it'll take care of itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, just one sec here.
Oh, you're fine.
They're scrapping the vax in Quebec. Oh, that was yesterday's news. Oh. She wanted to tell me, she goes, Carla, you need to tell them they're scrapping the vax tax in Quebec. You guys knew that, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday. So there's a win for Quebec.
The pass or the tax?
Sorry, the tax or the tax?
It's the tax.
It's the tax.
The vaccine tax on the unvaccinated.
Yes.
Oh, you threw me off for a minute there. I thought, did I just assume she said tax? No, she said
that's
tax.
just one more of those things that is happening that makes it look and feel like there's momentum and real progress being made.
Yeah. And even like, let's look at our the public health ministers, right? That are just kind of their narrative. They're scaling back their narrative, starting to say, like Kieran Moore, saying that we need to just begin to live with this virus. I mean, treating it like an endemic, which is what it needs to be, what needs to be done. That's really all we're looking for. Drop the mandates, let the virus do what the virus is going to do, and learn to live with it.
Yeah.
Just like other countries are doing. So.
Yeah, and don't take all of our rights and freedoms away.
Exactly.
Ever again.
Ever.
Ever.
I think they would be hard pressed. I have a friend that lived in Canada. She moved here from Romania, and in the middle of all of this garbage, like I think it was just before Christmas, she moved back to Romania because her mom wasn't well and she wanted to be with her. And I was like, "Oh, Nadia, don't go to Romania. It's got to be bad there." She goes, "Are you kidding me?" And I wish I could do her accent because it's thick. And she said, "Are you kidding me?" She said, "Romanians, we know what it is to be under communism. We won't let them do that again." And so they were fighting back really hard in Romania. But then I guess the government recently pushed back on them in Romania. And so Nadia and her husband have been following my lives. And they said that this trend that we're seeing in Canada, this whole momentum, this movement is moving to Romania, and they're beginning to push back again. So it's every country is beginning to stand up in their own way. And you know what? When people said, "Oh, the world is watching Canada," they truly were, and they're learning from Canada, which is, I mean, we're usually, the kind of forgotten country. you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is really
We're a
huge
leader
for us.
again. We're a leader again.
And just to add context to everybody, so Romania was under communist rule up until 1989, when the communist dictator Nicolae Ceausescu was kicked from power. So I did do an in-depth podcast.
How did they kick him from power? I'd be interested to know that.
There was a violent revolution.
Revolution. So Canadians know how to do a revolution, right?
It appears so.
We know how to do a nice.
This
one,
is a
so
love revolution. That's the movement.
Exactly.
It's
I
a
don't
love
want to.
revolution.
I don't want to fire people up in the wrong way. I'm just explaining the history. Like 1989 was not that long ago when we had communists. Rick Walker knows all about it too, because I mean that the Berlin Wall fell in 1989 and the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 or 2. So there's a lot of people who have experienced a lot of terrible things in their lifetimes, including like MPP Roman Babar.
That's right.
In
Man,
Ontario.
I have so much respect for him. He's someone who's been consistent and standing up. He's not been quiet.
I believe I
Mr.
seen
Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Absolutely.
Mr. Trudeau, end the mandates.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's a real tone in the air, and the old power of positive thinking. We're hearing this a lot at the speech. We've already won. Keep it in your head. We've already won. I believe that. I believe we have.
I'm fired up again. Like after we
Same.
got things moving on so many fronts here right now. Like I think Doug Ford's going to eat those words he released in his press statement on Monday, basically declaiming us to be a bunch of yahoos or what have you, as he so often does. But I think he's going to eat those words. He's going to eat them, and it's not going to look good on him.
He just repeated what the media had been saying, all the crap, because he's afraid to go against them. Here's the thing I was thinking today. These politicians, these bureaucrats, Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, they've thrown the truckers under the bus. But there's a lot more trucks than buses.
That's right. Buses are important. They have their place, but the trucks,
well,
they mean live or die in some ways, right?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Many, actually, in every way. I mean, we have to think about this, the medical supplies. It's not just food, right?
No.
Are you worried at all about, I mean, you're not in Alberta. We're not in Alberta. We see the tension rising there. Like that's getting tense.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch much on that. So I do plan to kind of catch up on what's going on there tonight. They say it's getting pretty tense, almost like a little standoff. You can have one lane, and the truckers are basically like, screw me over, and it's going to be bad for you. So I feel like that issue could become potentially violent.
Well, I think police there, the authorities there, they don't want these protests spreading to more border points. And I think that they want to shut that one down if they can, as quickly as they can, so that they make an example of them. But I don't think it's going to work, because the sense that I get from everything we've been seeing is if they shut it down there, it's going to pop up over there. It's going everywhere. We've got trucks going to Queen's Park. We've got trucks rolling in other provinces, going to other legislatures. It's just happening everywhere. And the thing is, I think the politicians have grossly underestimated the people, and especially the truckers. This is organic. This is not like some political non-governmental organization putting this whole thing together with a bunch of money and blah blah blah. This is just the people, and it's like they're seeing what's going on, they're figuring it out, and they're going, "I'm in."
Yeah.
And it's just exploding. And look at the way the people are handling it. Look at the video you showed us today in such a Canadian way. So I just don't think they can shut this thing down now. It's unbelievable. And you're right, Carla, the love that is just flowing and spreading. And you know what? Send your soldiers if you want, and they'll just get loved to death.
Yeah.
And, I did see an interesting analysis from the National Post the other day where they're actually really kind of careful because of Canada has a terrible history with protesters and the police going in and killing people. And then it looks bad after. Like, you could say the Oka crisis, there's the Dudley George, like, it goes on and on and on. Those are just the first two that come to my mind, but typically in Canadian history, when we have a protest that goes bad and the authorities kill somebody, it's a big mess.
Well, I'll say this. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Brendan. I agree with you. If this goes south, it's not going to be the protesters to blame. I really don't believe it. It's going to be because they've handled it inappropriately. You don't
Absolutely.
you don't take people like that, and like there's just no way.
How many people have been sharing? I mean, I'm not the only person there sharing lives. They're everywhere. People are, it's like the people have become their own media because of our our mistrust in the paid media. That's another little an extra layer on this too. We're talking about how, obviously we want Justin Trudeau out. I personally would like a whole new government. I want everything to change. So we're starting to see these government, these elected officials starting to fall, like with O'Toole and things like that. We've had some step down, and so it could crumble. The hospitals are crumbling. We're seeing that the healthcare system is beginning to crumble. We're probably going to end up privatized. I mean, they can't continue on like this. We're running out of money because Justin Trudeau is spending all of our money on everything. But then I'm thinking about the media. So the people are actually becoming the media, and the general people, even the people on the other side of this, are coming down and they're videotaping it and sending it onto their social media. So what's happening is the truth is coming out, and I think more and more people are beginning to see through what's happening with the media. Maybe the whole system of media is going to crumble, and there's going to be a new way.
Well, they've already been losing a lot of credibility over the last few years as well as viewerships. So this is, if anything, going to just solidify that. And they've been burying themselves for the last week with just blatant lies. So, yeah, hopefully.
Well, my friends, I stayed at the Hill longer than they did, and they came back and started to watch the news, and they said that CTV is still talking about the Terry Fox statue. He's facing the Terry Fox statue, and it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, days later, that is the only thing you can talk about. And I did get a clip of that today. As you know, the people cleaned the statue and whatnot. But now people are laying fresh flowers at the statue. They're going out and buying like a dozen roses or, fresh cut flowers, in the plastic, the grocery store flowers, laying them down as though they're laying it at his gravesite out of respect for him. So, take that.
I watched CBC today, and one of the banners on the bottom, it's just what topic they were covering, and it still said vaccine protests. And I'm just like, it's been 5 to 6 days and you're still blatantly lying with what you're trying to present. It's just like, wow.
Well, and that's the clear message. It's not vaccinated against unvaccinated. The protest has literally nothing to do with vaccination other than the fact that that's wrapped into the mandates. It's about the mandates, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Still talking. We stopped talking about Terry Fox days ago and all that.
Right?
I think we stopped talking about that 2 days ago. Am I right, gentlemen?
Yeah, and it was horrific. They put a Canadian flag on him.
Oh my God.
I know. Clutch your pearls. Get
Right.
at the smelling salts.
And the way that they placed it on him was around his neck. So they basically were portraying him as a Canadian hero.
Hero. Yeah.
And what was he?
A Canadian hero.
Hero.
In fact, I'm pretty sure there are pictures of him and video. I remember him wearing a Canadian flag just like that while he ran a portion of his journey.
And does it
I
not make
remember.
sense? Of course he would.
Yes.
He was a superhero in his
That's
time.
right.
He
Sure as heck
anyone
was.
who could run across Canada with one leg is
Yep.
a superhero. With cancer, keep in mind.
Yes.
He's sick.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
tired.
I think Rick Walker, we might have to do something to combat CBC a little bit. You did say that CBC made a documentary slamming Terry Fox. I think we should find that.
No,
footage.
they didn't. They didn't slam Terry Fox. There was a documentary made. Well, it's just a movie, right? Right. It's a dramatic recreation of the Terry Fox story. I think that's what the name of the movie was. Actually, I don't remember who produced it. I've seen it a couple of times, but what I said was, it in that movie. There is a section where they talk about the media, or they show that the media was actually trying to smear Terry Fox when he first started his run. They were trying to make it look like he was just trying to profit from it. And it's in the movie. You can go find it. And it's true. I remember it. I remember that happening. I was alive. I know I'm getting old. I was.
Welcome to my world.
I remember the whole Terry Fox thing, and I remember the Steve Fonyo thing, and the Rick Hansen thing, and these marathons, and the Terry Fox thing was like the one that eclipsed them all, and it was just huge. And he is a national hero. There's no question about it. And if anybody is trying to appropriate Terry Fox for their own purposes, it's the Liberals and the NDP and the people on the left with these agendas. And, but he really belongs to the people, not any particular political party. And the Conservatives are trying to do it in their own particular way. And some special interest groups try to do it too. Right. But that's really the truth. And the people who are down there protesting, putting the flag on Terry Fox, I honestly don't believe they did it out of any disrespect at all. Mm-hmm. Some people may view it that way, but I guarantee you there was no malice in what they were doing.
No. 100%.
Maybe some humor, but
they were adding. I don't even think it was humor.
No, it was not humor.
There's people. I mean, you can see in the videos clearly, people are tying Canadian flags around their own neck. It's them wearing Canadian pride. I think it symbolizes that Terry Fox ran with Canadian pride.
Yes. And the flag and the
clearer message.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what it was. But the media, I mean, you just touch that and they grab it and then they spin it. It's about the spin. And the politicians, the gutless, spineless politicians, fall into line, and whatever that spin is, they go with it, like Doug Ford did, right?
Yeah.
I agree. We shouldn't desecrate monuments.
I know.
It's gross.
It's not even worth talking about it anymore.
That's right. I mean, because that's the trick.
That's what you said, Rick Walker.
That's right, because that's what they do. They get you to deflect and take the attention off the important stuff, so you end up talking about this. That's what they do all the time. They always do that. And so instead of talking about end the mandates and people dancing in the streets and peaceful people assembling and getting together and being patriotic and loving their country and loving each other, they've got us all talking about racism and talking about stuff that divides us. That's all that was. That's all they've been trying to do, and they've been pretty successful in it, but they haven't defeated us.
No.
Right. And another way that they're also trying to kind of, destroy the reputation of this movement is they're saying that we're, about the garbage and things like that. Well, today they were talking about, again, during the speeches, they were saying, telling people these are the things that you could bring. Now, the trucker said, bring yourselves. But the organizers said, listen, we're expecting, 10 centimeters of snow. So everyone, tell your friends, anyone that's coming, to bring shovels and salt so that we can keep Ottawa clean, so that we can clean the sidewalks. And they talked about the garbage bags. So if you've noticed in many videos, you can see along the fence posts, there's, I don't know, about every 2 feet, there's a black garbage bag hanging, and people are actually using it. You're not seeing any trash in the streets. Those garbage bags are brought in by volunteers with their own money put there, and they are collected by the volunteers, right? Like they're collected and new ones are hung. Like people are respecting this city. It's cleaner than it was. It's cleaner right now than it was last Thursday. In fact, today, and so I've been mindful. If I see anything on the street, I'm going to pick it up. I picked up 2 masks on the sidewalk today. That's the only trash I saw on the sidewalk. 2 masks.
And
Which all of you, I'm sure, have seen that in parking lots and in your own city, right? It's annoying.
Yeah. Actually,
and you know what I've heard is like things like, and I don't believe it at all, people going to the washroom in the streets, go home, comments like that, because
it was negative 25. Is there anyone in this group that's going to bare your skin to go to the bathroom in the street? I mean, come on. First of all, that's not even a wise decision.
No.
There are porta johns all along the whole, like, route. About every 6th trailer, truck, there's a porta john there. Not to mention, there's a Tim Hortons on Slater Street that is letting everybody come in, sit inside, warm up, eat in there, use the bathroom. Many of the people who are here have hotels in the downtown area. They're going back and using their hotels. I find it very hard to believe that people are just like peeing. Personally, I've been out there. I've never seen anyone, pee in the streets or drop their pants in the streets. I haven't seen any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been around. I mean, I'm walking around. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking for anything cool I can find. And not that I think that's great, cool, but
it's great because in California you do that and nobody says a word. But you do that, they start spreading all these rumors. Oh, somebody peed on the monument. And it does, like, I've seen the picture and it doesn't look like they say it looks. I mean, maybe somebody spilt something on it, or it was a dog. Like, do you have a lot of dogs there?
Yes, there's a ton of dogs. So you'll see, there's the snow piled up, and you will see yellow in the snow. But I'm seeing it's like at the corner of places. It's exactly where a male dog would pee. I have a dog that I walk. I know where a dog's going to pee, and it's dog pee if there's pee in the snow.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think every one of us, if we were completely transparent, every one of us has peed outside at one point in our life. Okay, well, I'm not the only one, so somebody come with me on that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
Rick Walker
if one or two people have in the middle of the night gotten up and urinated in the snow, does that make them a terrorist?
Stop it! You make me want to go pee.
No, I mean, I'm just being real, like, I mean, if you really sit back and you look at the things that the media are reporting, they are literally grasping at straws because they have nothing else.
No, they don't. They don't have anything.
No.
I think that this movement here has exposed how fake the media actually is. This has shown them their ugly sides, and I don't know if they realize how many people that this has woken up, because I have never seen clearer examples of fake news now than I've ever had in my entire life. Like, this is crazy, especially when they go, well, I don't even need to say it anymore, but this has exposed how corrupt and how crooked the media actually is, and that they're just talking points, or they're just mouthpieces of the liberal government. Like, give us more money for COVID advertisements. Give us more money so that we can fund journalists to spin whatever you want us to. I'm just I am more happy about that than anything else that has happened
Same.
with this.
Yeah.
That is such a victory and such a win on its own, right? Like I got a comment today. So I have lots of people on my Facebook page that are on the other side of this, right? Who have been on the other side of it. And I got a comment today. I didn't even know this girl had been watching all of my lives. And she said to me, you know what? Thank you so much for posting these lives. I've been watching every single one of them. And it's so refreshing to see a completely other side. She says, your side, what you're doing, like what you're showing is absolutely opposite to what the mainstream media is doing. Just to hear this person use the word mainstream media, you know, because to her media is media, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as mainstream and underground, right? Because she wouldn't even consider something like that. And she's able to see the difference. And I mean, which is more palatable, my videos or what the media is showing? You know, the footage you guys are getting, what sits better with the average person? People generally want to be happy. They want to live in joy. They want to see that.
Yep. 100%.
Especially now, 2 years after, well, almost 3, or actually going on 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to stop at some point. I hate to use words like this, but the narrative has shown its ugly face, and people have decided they don't like it. At least I'm seeing more of that now than I ever have, and that's makes me want to sing "Oh Canada" or something like that. But
"Oh Canada," they sang it twice today, and it was the whole group. There was a little worship session. There's a pastor named Aaron Rock, and he had a church in Windsor, and it was, you know, I mean, a regular sized church. But then when they started with the lockdowns, like in the beginning, and remember, no one could even go to church. Churches were closed, right? And Aaron Rock said, "You're not closing my church. We will have church." He stood right up from the very beginning. Now he's a mega church. He came to Ottawa last night, and last night or the night before. I think it was, last night was the second night. So anyway, he came down, and on the grass at Parliament Hill, like right in front of the main Parliament building, he had a little worship session. They sang about, 4 or 5 hymns, and we sang "Oh Canada," and there was praying, and you would see the people just gathering. They were just coming and coming. And I taped that as well, you know, and just seeing that people even unified in God. I don't know if all of those people were people that would normally go to church, but they sure did have church on Parliament Hill today.
That's awesome.
I can't stress this enough, but we've seen the greatest infringement on freedom of religion over the past 2 years, whether it's burning down churches and other stuff, and then liberal MPs egging it on, to fencing up churches, to arresting pastors and that sort of stuff. We decided a very long time ago that freedom of religion is a cornerstone to a democracy. And you take that away, you take that away, and it's big trouble. It's like they are worried about Christianity for some reason because they keep tearing it down and they keep crapping on it, quite literally. And like, people are fed up with it. Like, these people are not going to sit still forever and let them do that.
Well, when you were talking about the cornerstone, there's on the Parliament building, they quoted some scripture. I can't remember. Oh, she's sleeping. I would ask Sylvie. What was the scripture that's etched in the stone on the Parliament building? Who's it from? Isaiah, I think. Maybe it was a psalm. I don't know, but a scripture from the Bible anyway is actually etched in stone on the Parliament building, and so they read that out today, to the people. I mean, so when you said the cornerstone, our Parliament in the beginning, that many years ago, was built on scripture, and the way that they've removed that,
that's why they want it gone, because in a secular society, when you have especially a communist or a socialist government that does not believe in God, they don't want God in the Constitution or a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, because it recognizes the supremacy of God, which is really not so much about religion as it is about the importance of the individual, and you're born with your individual rights naturally, as though they are given to you from God, not from a human being, not from someone like Justin Trudeau. But if you can remove that, if you can get rid of the church and discredit it and tear families apart and tear the church away from the people, then it no longer has any meaning within those legal documents and those enshrined rights and freedoms that people have. And when people say we need to separate the church from the state, they forget that. And what they don't realize is that if they allow that to happen, they're giving up their individual rights.
Even even if you're secular, like, just understanding that your rights are above you, are above the corporation of the government, and they're above any human being. Like, that is what you need to understand, and that is what is so important about it.
It's the first words in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It recognizes the supremacy of God first. Everything else comes after. And if we lose that, we lose our democracy, we lose our freedoms, we lose our rights as individuals. And that's what Brian Peckford has been talking about.
He's
from
absolutely
the beginning.
right.
Yes. It's critical.
Yeah, so Justin Trudeau too, it was this is his terrorist and his racist, misogynistic people. There we were, the whole group of us, that this Pastor Aaron Rock led us in prayer. And he stressed the importance of praying for our leaders. So, I mean, let's face it, right now at that convoy, probably the least popular person, the most disliked person there is Justin Trudeau. And all of these haters are praying for him. Terrible people, terrible human beings.
Well, we've been on for over 3 hours now. Carla, is there anything else you want to share?
Just, you know what? Just anyone who can get here, because I think every human being deserves to experience what I've been experiencing. I'm bursting with what's happening here.
Can you come back tomorrow night?
I can come back as much as you need me to, for sure. I'm happy to do that. One day you guys aren't going to want me back when I'm gone home. I'm never leaving, just so I can stay on this show.
You're
That's
awesome.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll call you an analyst, and we'll bring you back on anyway.
Oh, just to listen to my 2 cents worth, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. I like what you have to say. And there we go. See, I told you the people love you. If you could see,
I can't see it. You know what? Look, I have to put these glasses. So I had LASIK surgery. I had actually, I'm 52. I had cataract surgery, and they did it laser, and I could see perfectly. And then my doctor, this is about informed consent. See, coming from the nurse, he said to me, I think I can just crisp up that distance vision even better. And I hadn't had to wear glasses. I wore progressives, right? So a whole year without glasses, I felt so free and so happy and so young. And I mean, I could put fake eyelashes on. It was beautiful. So he says, I wanted my checkups. I just want to crisp up your eyes. He says, your distance. So he crisped up my distance. All right. Now I have to put my old progressives back on to read, because when he gave me more distance, he took away my near vision. So these are my broken old glasses, but let me have a look.
There you go.
Thanks, Carla. You are welcome.
You're awesome, Carla.
My pleasure.
God bless, you all, Canada.
God bless all of you. Guys,
Over
you know
and
what?
out.
For as much as people thank me, I just thank everybody for watching, because you want to be in the now. You want to be in the knowing. Anyone who wants to know what's really happening down there and is taking the time to watch a show like this, to search things out, to find out for yourself, I have nothing but respect for people like that. Get here.
And Andrew says, great work, Carla. Thanks for the updates. Keep them coming.
All right.
I'll
keep looking out. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank
We
you.
will see you tomorrow, Carla.
Okay. Have a great night, guys. Be kind.
Thank you so
Be
much.
Canadian.
Yes. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.
That was wickedly awesome.
Yes.
She's
I'm feeling revived. I'm feeling re-energized.
Yeah, a lot of positive energy there. I'm glad we ended on that, because I'm gonna sleep a little better tonight.
I think myself too. Absolutely.
Lots going on though, man. So we'll be keeping tabs on things, and we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same station, I guess, right?
Well,
6
I
o'clock,
liked
is
how
that
you
cool?
I liked how you put it better last night.
Oh, you want me to redo that one?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
We'll be back tomorrow night with more of Freedom Convoy 2022, cruising to the capital. Same bat time, same bat station.